Bring the ship up to broadcast depth. We're going in.
I always like to watch the comments when the intro music hits. Okay, here you go. You asked for it. Triumphant return of myself. And I have to turn off, always have to turn off the cancellation. What's going on, guys? I have with me John Fitch, and sooner or later the rest of the Rule Zero crew will roll in here. I had
out of bed sooner or later.
I had Jonathan from Modern Life Dating say, "Hey, we should just do an after action report on the CME, which is where I have been for the last 8 days." I've been in Miami since Monday last, and prior to that, I was at George Gammon's collective event in Dallas. So, in case you haven't been watching my my Instagram feed, if you go and find the cowboy pictures, I should go. I think I might go dig some up later on. I'll throw some pictures up on the screen. But we had a really great event in Dallas, Texas, and I got to speak to the collective group for about 90 minutes. I think I always go over, as you know. And then prior to that, I was in Las Vegas on, I got there Wednesday and stayed till I flew out to Dallas bright and early on that Saturday morning. But the reason I was in Vegas was to watch my daughter graduate.
Oh, that's nice.
Now I can say UNLV because she's no longer there and people won't go and hunt her down. And she graduated with her master's degree with honors. So I was very proud daddy after all of that. That was quite the interesting event. I have, I posted about this. There's a post on my Instagram feed where I was talking about, oh, hey, Troy came in. Yay. What's up, man? How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing? You all right?
Good. Can you hear me okay? Are you good?
Yeah, that's good.
Using a different rig. I'm just using a different studio rig this time. I'm using the Sony ZE-10 right now, and I plugged it directly into my iMac. And I just wanted to see if it was any different than the other way I've been doing it. It seems to be working a little bit better.
Sounds pretty clear.
Yeah. Well, I'm still through the road board, but so anyways, I just give you a recap. I was in Vegas, watched my daughter graduate from UNLV.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so was in Vegas, and then I flew off to Dallas to talk with George Gammon, Ken McElroy. Justin Waller was with me. It was that made it very entertaining. I will say this. I've never seen. I'll tell you what's funny about Justin. I really need to get Justin more involved in Rule Zero because I think he is a very good influence, and I think he's also his input is, I think, unique. But Justin actually has made his money in something other than the manosphere. He owns I'm not going to rat him out or anything, but he owns a steel construction business and has been, he had money before he came into all of this. And I know he works with the Tates, and I know he is the roommate of Sterling Cooper. And he sort of splits his time between Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Miami, and amongst other places, of course. And we just happened to be in Dallas, and so we went out there. We were hanging out, like I said, with George Gammon, Ken McElroy, Robert Kiyosaki was there as well, and a few other people who probably our audience would not know. But he is, if you know anything about Justin is about 6'3". He is a ginger, a natural ginger, and I mean he's pretty built too, and also knows how to dance to Western style music or country style music, right? And so
It's like, what do they call it? It's a deadly threat, isn't it? He's
man.
covered all the bases.
And I'll tell you, I have a few. If you
speak French or something too,
I know. It's talking about high value dude. I mean, the guy, he's it. Monetarily,
the only one thing you could argue that's holding him back is the gingerness, but even that is irrelevant.
I think that works in his favor, quite honestly. In his instance, I think it works in his favor. And I know, I mean, there's so much
like a strawberry blonde
goes on behind the scenes, but I don't know if I would say anything. I don't know. I think I would sort of say less than necessary.
Yes.
But I will say this. I already put this out there, and he actually shared it too. We were at the collective event, and one of the things on the Saturday night, of course, we had the soiree. We were in Dallas, and we had a Texas themed, Western themed sort of like gathering, I guess, and that's where all those old time pictures were generated from. And then, of course, that's some really amazing. Like I play in a metal band, and so I know I know musicianship, and like I don't care if it's metal or if it's country or whatever. I can appreciate very, very tight musicians, like musicians that work very well together. And the musicians, the bands that they had a couple. The bands were like I was floored by how well they just sort of dovetail and gel together. Like during that event, on a couple of occasions, Justin just went up there and just grabbed random girl here and there and just went and basically owned the dance floor because he can dance like that. And I'll tell you what, we're really I'm trying to think of like all these sort of like red pill, like what's the applicable lesson out of all this? And I came under some scrutiny recently, and Troy, I think you probably will remember this, but like in my fifth book, in the Player's Handbook, people are trying to say like I'm trying to promote the idea that guys should go out and like nail fat chicks as sort of like a workup to getting better at game, and it's like that's not what I was talking about. It was sort of working your way up. Now, none of the women that like Justin was dancing with were women he was going to actually visit later on in the evening or anything like that. Okay, it was just going up there and going out and sort of dancing with these women who probably were
having fun and getting
their breath taken away by the 6 foot tall, or 6'3" guy who knew how to dance, and just like, I mean, it's in one case lifted the girl off her feet, at the end of the dance. And like that kind of experience right there, other women around her see that happen and they go, wow, so the women that he might want to get with, if he's getting with somebody who's like, just giving the girl a chance kind of thing, like, just to have a good time and just sort of give her an experience. That said, that broadcasts sort of I think
the practice you get from being the fun guy, like working your way up could be getting good at talking to the cashier where you get your coffee and making her laugh, like being able to captivate a room full of people or a gathering of girls, regardless of attraction level. Being able to like with how you interact with them, with the dancing, whatever. You're the fun. You're where the fun is.
Pre-selection and social proof.
Well, Tusk does, and it would be interesting to see Tusk and Jay Waller going ahead with it, the clash of the Chads. But Tusk actually does the same thing. We taught a webinar for John MLD just recently, me and Tusk, about night game, and Tusk's night game. I mean, it sounds like Justin is going to rival him, but Tusk's night game is something to behold, and he basically does exactly that. He goes around the club and just talks to everybody. Talks to all the girls, spinning the girls around, picking them up, throwing them around, pouring people drinks, pouring drinks into people's mouths, all this kind of stuff. Just partying with everybody. And the effect is, it's a social proof effect because he looks like a rock star. He looks like a rock star in the club. And so, he may talk to a girl who's not so attractive, whatever. It doesn't really matter because what happens is that throughout the evening, it filters out and women who are very attractive will sort of emanate towards him. It's a really great way to do it.
Yeah. I was gonna say he most definitely is the Will Rogers of the manosphere.
I've known some naturals. I've known some guys who are naturally just good with women and attractive women, and they were all like that. They were all the guy who came into the club or the bar, and everybody started, coming around them. Everybody wanted to party with them, hang out with them.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do gingers really get knocked down a peg?
I don't know if they do, but it's the kind of thing. It's the kind. Well, I'll tell you what. The reason I said that was because Wheat Waffles, the Black Pill superstar, rising superstar, is actually ginger, and he puts down. The thing is, right? He got his pictures got doxed, right? His pictures got put out there, and actually, the reality is he's not a bad looking bloke,
right?
But he's over 6 foot. He's a decent looking bloke.
Which makes me believe it's all a grift.
Yeah, it's all nonsense. But he will say, but you see, because I'm ginger, I don't, a lot of girls are put off from me. I don't really believe that's true, but I think there would be some people in that space who would say, oh no, ginger, it's over. I don't believe that's the case. Certainly not for Justin at all. And like John said, he's more strawberry blonde than anything. But I think if you are well put together guy, I don't believe gingerness is going to.
I don't think so. It doesn't have to be a disadvantage, put it that way. I mean, I can look at Justin and go, okay, if there is any disadvantage to being a ginger, and I don't necessarily believe there is.
I've known plenty of gingers who were just fine with girls.
There's ways to offset that.
Prince Harry never seemed to have a problem, did he? I mean,
no, not necessarily. When's the audiobook coming? Everybody keeps, as much as I put out these broadcasts, and I can tweet this out a billion times. The audiobook for Player's Handbook is coming out at the end of June. It is with my reader Trey. He's going. I went to him this time because he has a much more conversational tone, and I think that the book is better served by sort of like me. Like people ask me, like, how come you don't do the read yourself? I could do that if you wanted the book in like October, and I could do it. But it's the learning curve, and just there's a lot of particulars. I have all the gear here. I could do it myself, but I think that in some ways the book is actually better served if I don't read the book. So it is coming. It will be at the end of June. That's our schedule right now. So it'll probably be about the same time. I am back in Miami on the 21st through the 27th of June, because I will be out there for the Rebel Capitalist conference that is going on out there. Troy, tell me what you thought. Initial thoughts about the CME.
I mean, I thought it was awesome. I had a really good time. It was just great to see all of you guys. Obviously, to finally meet up with you, Rollo. It's a shame John wasn't there, but to meet up, obviously John MLD, who I know, pretty met up with a few times now. Some of the other dudes out there, Fresh and Fit, Donovan himself, of course. I mean, there was just a great bunch of people there, and the talks were really, really good. I mean, I actually. First couple of days, I was out and about on the Friday, so I didn't see all the talks then. But the last couple of days, I did stay for most of the talks. And there was
I know that.
There was some really good stuff, though. People like Mr. Lucario did an amazing talk. It was so. I think it was great. I think it was a blast. It really was.
Yeah, I had a real good time. I mean, I was there 3 days prior to it even, jumping off, and I had a lot of things to do. So, like, I think if I have any like sort of regrets about it, it's like I wish I could have spent more time with like people while I was there. But it's hard for me to spread myself thin enough as it is when I'm there. While I was there, I have been, as most people know, I have been working with Valuetainment, and I've been working with Adam Sosnick and sort of helping him develop his show, at least on his Thursday shows. A lot of people are saying, well, that's supposed to be an economics show, and I try to make it relevant. I have been doing that quite a bit with George Gammon and sort of the financial side, the entrepreneurship side. The Kiyosaki, the Ken McElroys, and trying to make it relevant to that crowd, I guess. So, and there is a lot of crossover, and I have a lot of my audience follows George Gammon and vice versa. So I'm out there. George Gammon actually came with me from Dallas to Miami, and he was on with Fresh and Fit on that Tuesday. And then
he's a good guy, isn't he? He seems like a really good guy.
Yeah, and then he was also on. Great, here comes John. Nice, John. Thank you. But he was on Fresh and Fit. When I was doing my solo show on Fresh and Fit, and we actually did a good nuts and bolts show. I thought that was actually a very strong show. And he actually added quite a bit, I think, to the show that I was doing solo with Fresh and Myron. And George is just he's just a really good dude. I mean, he's still kind of like new to all this. So he's meeting with guys. He was up at the, I guess he's coming back. He was he was at the CME, and we talked some good shit, man. I mean, we're back and forth, and it was good.
Yeah. And he's quite an interesting character because he's, I don't know how much you want to talk about it really, but I think he's sort of, he's kind of living on his own terms, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
He's not married. He's sort of like,
that's a good topic, quite honestly, because I had this discussion offline. Yeah. I don't think anybody's going to be upset if I say this. When I look at a guy like Roosh, for example, like Roosh is a guy who sort of had, ostensibly anyways, as far as we know, had sexual selection. I mean, he was the guy who was writing lay guides and going around the country. He was the Roosh of today is not the Roosh of even 2016, really. But here's a guy that's sort of figured out the mystery of women, and I mean, you can even use mystery or Neil Strauss or some of these other guys as well. And I know that John's used these guys as examples in the past as as guys who just sort of flamed out. They never really matured past that, and so therefore you get a guy like Roosh who goes and lives in a shack somewhere and grows his beard long and looks like the Unabomber. So, but then you got a guy like George Gammon. Now, George Gammon is, he talks about this all the time. He's 49 years old. He is not attached. He's never been married. He is, he'll tell you this too. He retired when he was like 35 or 40, somewhere around there, because he is legitimately paid. Has legitimate money, and it didn't come out of, doing YouTube channels or funnel marketing or anything like that. He actually made his money in the real estate market. So the guy is connected. He is well respected and unmarried, no children, and pretty much can get with, the women that he wants to get with. He has sexual selection for sure. And so he's sort of this example, I think, of a guy who could have been like a guy like Roosh or somebody like that could have been like George Gammon, right? He could have been like a guy who, instead of sort of flaming out and losing his mind, is just like, I'm good with this. This is where I'm at. I'm not going to have kids. I don't want a wife. God forbid I'd ever get married. But he's still, he's still in action, still, and guys, again, what is it about guys who are like in this sphere that are like 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah.
Point when I was doing at the end of my talk, because you look at Myron, you look at Justin Waller, you look at George Gammon, you look even Robert Kiyosaki's like 6'2".
Is he?
Yes. I don't know what it is about like above 6 feet they're influential characters. But again, a guy who's maximized that and is, by all respects, is a very healthy, individual and loves what he does and is going to probably keep doing it for quite some time. So, he has girlfriends. He has, I presume he's like spinning plates. I presume he's got maybe a main and then he spins. I mean, he can if he wants to. I don't necessarily delve into his personal life, but here's a guy who is essentially, has gone up to this point where he's been single his whole life and has probably doesn't have any real desire to do anything but what he's been doing really for most of his life. So you've got a guy like Roosh who flames out, or you got a guy who, who just can't handle the fact that, he takes game to the nth degree and spins plates until he can't spin plates anymore, and then loses his mind. Like a guy like Mystery is a good, everybody wants to bring up Mystery and how suicidal he was. And God only knows what's going on with him right now. But, just because you have good game and you can do all that doesn't necessarily mean you're red pill per se. And I think I made that separation in the 5th book, but I think there's two sides to it. I think it can be done. It just depends on the individual.
Well, you've got to have something else going on, haven't you? I think that's ultimately the issue. And obviously someone like George Gammon, I mean, he wasn't even he wasn't even in this space anyway, really, in that sort of dating advice, dating coach, pickup artist, whatever space. But a lot of those people, obviously, they kind of either they just drop out and get married and just conform to normality, or they go nuts and grow the beard and go onto the top of the mountain and bring the tablets down and all that, or worse, and we've seen some people who've had quite serious sort of like mental breakdowns and stuff and issues. And I don't think it needs to be like
here and being back in America myself.
Nice.
I don't think it needs to be like that. Why is your camera off, John? Are you in the bath or something? Are you like in the?
I am in a very crappy Airbnb. One thing I've learned about America since being back, nothing works. No cell phone service doesn't work. Internet doesn't work.
Yeah.
Are you still in the U.S.? Are you still in Florida?
Yeah, I'm in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you need to have other stuff going on. And I think that is now the direction of this space, isn't it? Because we talk money, muscles, game, frame. Yeah. Obviously, you're working with these finance guys.
Women can't be your focus.
We're talking more about fitness and, with John and all of that. I mean, it's got to be holistic, hasn't it? It can't just be this one thing.
Well, I'm going to throw this up here real quick. Just I have this ready. Like, this is Tucker Max. Okay. This was like the progression, going from, I hope they serve beer in hell. And, the cover of that book, he gets with this girl, knocks up this girl. And now suddenly that whole dynamics like does a 180, and he throws this out there with Dr. Jeffrey Miller. And now this is from like 2016, I think, but I always like throwing this up here because it's sort of like the script. I want to say Purple Pill in sort of just 3 images right here. And this is the progression. And I don't think it necessarily has to be. I like George Gammon's not doing that, but I mean, maybe George Gammon's not in this sphere. So John, what was your take on the CME? What did you think about the CME?
It was a good time. I think I think the number one person who enjoyed the CME the most was Sterling Cooper.
Yes.
Sterling was having the time of his life. I've never met a happier man. It like motivated me to be more optimistic and stuff. No, it was good meeting, because I met Justin Waller before he was Justin Waller. I met him that one night.
I remember. I think we met him at the same time at Moxie's that one time.
Moxie's, right? Yeah, when we were outside. I had just gotten off the flight to Tokyo, and I was zapped. And but I remember meeting him, and then I got his story this time around. Went over to his apartment, and yeah, dude, it was interesting as a creator because the only other creator I have access to out in Tokyo is Charlie. So that I meet all these other people who are like, superstars in other areas, plus meeting the guys in real life. And, just getting a pulse on the community, really like seeing who these, names on the screen really are in real life. And it was awesome. I think that the energy there was unmatched. There without a doubt, like, people want to say stuff about, maybe the venue wasn't as nice, or these are people who didn't attend, but not a single person was like, this venue sucked. People were loving it. I mean, you couldn't get enough. It reminded me of church camp when I was little, to be honest with you. To be very honest with you, it reminded me of church camp. And for me, it gave me an awesome sense of nostalgia. And I got to meet up my good friend, George Bruno. And
beautiful moment.
Tell that story, John, because what was the first thing you said to George Bruno?
I just walked up to George and said, George, how about you start with sorry? And then he said,
and he did
say sorry. Yeah. And then, everybody's, it's funny when you meet people in real life, it's so much different. Like, I think I've met all of you. Yeah. I've met all of you guys in real life. Mm-hmm. And, it's so much fun, like me and John, we have like the margarita joke when we went to San Diego. And Rollo, you flaked on me in Miami because you're a cunt.
Hey, but I mean,
we caught a fish.
I had to get up the crack of dawn to go. First of all, I'm already jet lagged, and then second of all, I had to get up really early because I did that fishing trip. And if anybody saw the images of that fishing trip, well worth it, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep. So then, and then obviously Troy. I think Troy and I. Troy, this is our third time meeting, all right? Colombia and then Miami twice.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, and it's always a good time when Troy Francis is in town. Troy gave a great speech. I didn't watch Rollo's, but yeah, it was good. I gave a speech.
Good lols.
Met Terrence Pop. Met a lot of different people, and it was just And you know what's funny too? I think definitely all of us coming together kind of culminated, a couple viral moments, because I went a couple videos that I just was doing from Fresh and Fit were clipped and put on TikTok in a couple days, had like 250,000 views. Wow. So it was just, I don't know, just everybody was feeding off of everybody's energy in a very positive way. It was a very, it was no no negative vibes at all. It was just for me, it was very refreshing as a content creator to go there. I feel pumped up. I'm like ready to like count all my macros and make $10 million and go fuck a bunch of girls. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was a great energy, and I mean, people talk about the venue. I mean, the venue was fine. The venue was like absolutely fine. It was a nice hotel. It served the purpose. It wasn't a massive room, but at the same time, there was nothing wrong with it either. It was perfectly adequate for what happened. But I mean, the key thing really was, like you said, John, at the time, it's about the quality of the speeches. It's about the people that's involved and the energy in the room. And I mean, one thing is that the guys who were there in the audience were absolutely. There was real engagement from the audience, I felt. Like even for my speech, but more than that, just for everything. They were absolutely lapping it up, really taking on board this knowledge, and that was great to see. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, I thought so as well. This is actually a good question here, and this isn't even a super chat. What do we need these conferences for? What do you think we need these conferences for, John?
I actually have a question that was similar to that. Well, because you actually went to 2 different conferences, Rollo. Yeah. What do you think? Because they're recent. What is it the guys are looking for? What is it guys are missing? What's like the number one problems you're seeing with these guys?
Once again, and to John's credit, he hit on this a long time ago, which is money, muscles, game, and frame, and so. Once I started seeing what was happening when John started doing, I think it was like around body language mastery. And I remember when I bailed out of the first one and I sort of audited the class, so to speak. John knows all this, firsthand. And then I jumped in around the second one when you did body language mastery too. And my initial impression of all that was like, why do guys even need this? Like, why is this a thing? And then I realized that the guys that are there, they're there for 2 things. First of all, they lack the social skills to really understand interpersonal dynamics and just like social dynamics. And I don't mean that in the RSD to context. I mean that in the sense that like they lack basic social skills because they have a really difficult time sort of reading people's faces and vocal intonations, because when you're raised on the internet and when you're raised on social media and you have the buffer of text, and all it is just text flying back across the screen, or perhaps you don't even use your face on an interview or something like that. There's really no way to learn that kind of stuff. And we have like at least the last half of the millennial generation, and certainly Generation Z, they when we talk about game, like when I just wrote the player's handbook, I elaborated on this in the book. I said, it's not so much about game. Game is really social skills is what it is. And that's what these guys sort of lack because they don't have any connection. And so I think one of the strengths of like, say, body language mastery was that it taught like social skills, because John was doing, videos and showing here's, if a girl walks ahead of you with this, hand over kind of thing. I mean, it's stupid shit. It's just like semantics that we go, who needs to learn this? I can't understand why guys don't. Well, because there's a large, majority of the population of these guys who don't understand this stuff. That's number one. But number 2 is they don't have like a network. They don't have a community. That is the number one question I get from guys, whether it's on this show or I meet them somewhere else or I do a personal counseling kind of thing. They're like, I don't understand how to interact with guys. I don't know. I don't have a tribe. I don't have anything, where we get together and we talk or whatever. And you can just sit there and point a finger and, point and sputter the whole time and say, oh, you're just an idiot and you're just an incel and you're just like you're functionally autistic or whatever. Any normal human has tribes, right? It's like, no, they don't. And guys need that face-to-face, that one-on-one connection, and they want to come out. I had guys in my Patreon group, which is I've got 15 guys in my monthly Zoom thing. And I'm meeting like 2 or 3 of them while we're out there. They came out there just simply because they wanted to interact and they wanted to have conversations and they wanted to talk and just sit down and have coffee and just bullshit with each other, because that is so rare in their lives.
Yep.
And then on top of that, so that's one thing. You can apply that to the manosphere, but then also I did a conference, the collective conference at in Dallas with Justin and George Gammon and Ken McElroy and all that. And then that is like, people go there because it's almost like a classroom setting. They want to go and they want to talk to people who are in that field and they have a particular interest in whatever it is that's being discussed. And these guys pay a membership to go to those events, and they're high value, high ticket, very well produced events. And there's no shortage of people who want to get in and want to, sort of, mingle with that crowd also. That's the networking part of that. So there's a lot. I think there's a lot that goes along with having these conferences and just meeting people and having those conversations.
Well, somebody said further back, so a comment said single event workshops, 3 hours max, far better than multiple days for a number of reasons. You can guess. I mean, look, it's horses for courses, isn't it? I mean, nobody has a gun held to their head saying you've got to attend this conference or shoot you. I mean,
they're there because they want.
Yeah, these are people, self-selecting group of people who want to come because they want to hear the speakers and stuff. But within that, I think there is huge value. It's like saying, well, why bother going to see a band? Why bother going to see Rollo's band live? You could just listen to you could just stream the audio.
Why go to a seminar and learn technique?
Yeah, I mean, something happens in a physical space when people come together and meet that is unique, and it's like watching a band play. I'm not comparing us to to that, but it's like
why do so many businesses and corporations and shit send their people to conferences?
Right.
Yeah, completely. And also people were saying stuff. People were talking about stuff, giving talks that they don't necessarily give on YouTube, not because it was like massively like outrageous or anything like that, but just they were giving away material that that they'd saved for an event like that. So I don't know, man. And I think just the networking opportunities and stuff like that, I think that it really, really is a valuable thing for those guys who want to attend.
I loved it. I had to pay extra for my ticket to go home because I had to change.
Yeah,
it was quite a little bit of money, but I don't even care because the trip really showed me where I stand, in regards to competition out there, and as to where I could be. Not that I'm competing with anybody but myself, but sometimes when you're isolated, I live in Tokyo, right? And I barely meet up with all the other content creators. So
they're inspiring, aren't they? Those things are inspiring. It's inspiring to meet you guys and to see other people.
Yeah, and it's you can't be a house cat forever. And I think one of the unsung heroes that a lot of people don't talk about is Miguel from Dollar Cost Crypto.
Absolutely.
He's a cool guy.
Rollo, when we were out the next day, we were out and about in Bayside, and somebody walks up to Miguel and touches him on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey man, nice to see you again." And we turn around, it was George Gammon. He was with some chick. And he shot him.
That's what I was saying. That's George Gammon's life, man. At 49 years old, too. Yeah.
Well, nobody can really quite believe how built Miguel is, because he is a unit, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a guy.
He's an absolute unit. He's a big boy. I think everybody here has met Miguel now, especially. John, you met him in San Diego, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, everybody loves Miguel, and he did a good job with the speech there.
Yes.
It was good. We had an expert there for everything. We had an expert there for crypto. We had an expert there for making $1 million. We had an expert there for gender dynamics, which is Rollo. We have we have Troy for day game mastery, right? We had Mr. Lucario there. It was awesome, dude. I mean, for me, it was just awesome. I just like to meet other people who have a work ethic and run a business. So, because
I think that's a big thing too. Because I've gone to a couple of these things, and being around like-minded people, that's another big part of it. Because like for myself, and even for a lot of these guys that I've met, they're surrounded. It's an ocean of blue-pilled people, and they have no ability of trying to forcefully red pill anybody, so they're alone. So for them to get a chance to get away for a weekend and be around other people who think the same way, can have discussions about real stuff and talk about hard truths, man, it's a breath of fresh air. Like me coming on this show on Saturdays, because I live in California, and I get to exercise that. I get to talk to people who are like-minded and rational and care about talking about ugly truths and stuff. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was good, and it was good actually. There was a bunch of women there this time as well, wasn't there? And it was kind of interesting to meet up with them. You know, Ali, obviously Torsha was there. That girl Pearly. There's somebody else as well. Wasn't obviously Devon as well. Donovan's better half, as it were. It was quite refreshing as well to get that sort of female input into things as well, wasn't it?
Hey, let me get to some of these super chats before everybody spurgs out. So here, let's start with this. Candle says, when will Rollo speak with Wheat Waffles? Whenever he reaches out to talk to me, but I don't think that's going to happen. My estimate of Wheat Waffles is that he's a guy who he speaks black pill. He speaks fluent MGTOWese and black pill. And quite honestly, what were you saying before, like Troy, when he got doxxed as far as his like pictures and stuff?
He's a decent
looking dude, which leads me to believe that he's like throwing this stuff out there just to sort of generate buzz and to get, to build a channel off of this stuff. And doesn't really seem like the kind of guy who really cares about that community or whatever. He's getting into it because he knows what's gonna trigger, quite honestly. And he's doing it very well. Yeah. Let's see. Billy Huang says, great show. How many bicep curls did George Bruno do for Jonathan MLD to attend to the CME? How heavy or light were those dumbbells?
George Bruno's built of steel.
I will say this. I will give George Bruno this. He has learned his lesson from working with Anthony Johnson. I think a lot of people have as well. As what I find, actually, I don't find it interesting. I find it actually highly predictable. But like a lot of the people who I used to know back in the day at that old convention, have now sort of parted ways with him, and were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements right after all the bullshit happened in 2019, by the way, in June of 2019. And there's sort of this ghost of Anthony Johnson that's like hovers over all of this stuff, because that's just him. He's just been obsessive compulsive but in June, actually very soon, like within the next few days here, it will have been 3 years. And I think maybe what we need to do is sort of do those 3 years in review and see what all of us have done over the course of those 3 years, and look at what the quote unquote president of the manosphere has been doing for the last 3 years. I see you, Ryan. Let me finish this up real quick. Thoughts on the Spanish Parliament approving only yes means yes consent bill? Is that an itemized list of consent?
All of these countries that are doing this stuff are just going to make them unlivable places, and the smart people are going to fucking leave. Dude, America's fucking wasteland, bro. I've been, since being back here, that's another thing. I would tell these guys to go to these conventions just to get some fucking breath of sanity from other people. Be like, okay, I'm not around like, everybody around me is fucking nuts, because that's what it is. I'm in Orlando right now. Dude, this place, like, I think Orlando peaked in 2010. I think America peaked in 2010, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It peaked in the 90s.
And then that was the tip of the curve.
Yep. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, but
bookmark in that. Derek Thomas, another good friend of mine, is in the fitness sphere. If you don't know who Derek is, go look him up on Instagram. Just put in Derek Thomas. He is an animal. The guy is he is ripped and jacked and juicy as fuck. And Derek was there with his brother. He's also
good to meet you.
He's military as well, so Army, and his brother was Navy, I believe. Frame consists of money, muscles, and mindset. There you go. So that's Derek. Derek was there as well. Let's see. Rollo, never take Torsha and Justin up to Valuetainment again. They were terrible. Well, unfortunately, the rest of the world doesn't agree with you, because that was one of their highest rated shows that we did. In fact, pretty much every time I go on Saucecast, you can see the numbers spike. I mean, if you go and you go here, do me a solid here. Here's your homework. Go to the Valuetainment. Go look at Adam Sosnick's Saucecast and look at the views and look at like the engagement for each one of those. And look when I go on there, and look when I bring on guests on there, or when I'm people don't know this, but when I am sort of building up and sort of stage managing and directing shows like the one that was just on with Coco, Pearl, and an alley on there, which was just last Thursday. Look at the engagement. Look at the numbers for those shows compared to others. So a lot of people disagree with you. Let's just put it that way. And now, finally, real estate is wealth. Question for the panel: if it came out that Donovan Sharp was with a single mother and lied about it all this time, would you guys distance yourself from him out of negativity? Go. Integrity. Sorry.
I just think all of this stuff is sort of irrelevant, really, to the main message. I mean, I've known Donovan for a long time. He's a great guy. He's a very intelligent man. He knows what he's talking about. He's made a huge contribution in terms of his YouTube channel and his articles when he wrote for Return of Kings and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think all of this stuff surrounding all of the gossip, the TMZ style stuff that surrounds this is sort of beside the point, really. So it's just not something that really interests me at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me. I will answer that question with another question. If you found out that Rollo Tomasi spent about 3 years with a borderline personality disorder girlfriend during the middle of his 20s, would you distance yourself from him out of integrity? That's another. Would you, if you found out that Rollo Tomasi was married, would you, distance yourself out of? What's the criteria? That's what I want to know.
There's a certain type of guy out there that's listening that he will only listen to you if you're like 6'5", jacked, rich, you have everything. You have to be the perfect deliverer of the message is the only one that's allowed to give it. And it's not how the real world works. Like everybody in this panel has red flags. You're going to meet girls that have red flags. There's no perfect person out there. It's just delusion.
There is Justin Waller.
Yeah.
Then there's Justin.
Right.
And, if you discovered that John Fitch has a divorce to his name, would you distance yourself from John Fitch out of integrity? Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, we can apply that to damn near anything, my friend.
Well, I think it comes down to the thing. You get this, on a wedding. You get this whole argument with like sort of actors or creators. Is it the work or is it the person that's the key thing, right? And if somebody has done something, I mean, in their life, I'm not saying that being with a single mother
didn't go on a shooting rampage,
but if you've done something in your life that's like a bad thing, but you've created good work, should those two things be conflated? I don't really know. I don't always think
the perfect messenger doesn't exist.
Right. Well, if you found out that let's see, Anthony Johnson was stalking my daughter online, cyber stalking her since 2017, would you distance yourself out of integrity? Because I can show you the receipts for that if you'd like. We can talk about that now because she's out of school. All bets are off, Anthony. Now I can release all that shit anytime I want to.
Is Ryan backstage? Is he not coming on?
Oh, sorry, Ryan. Oh, my bad.
Hey! This feels like 2018 all over again. You guys just got back from Orlando talking shit about MAGA hat bullshit.
Yes. Oh, we got to bring
Kitten
Ryan.
Holiday is talking in chat. You guys need to walk away from Donovan. You're too nice for him. Integrity.
Oh my god!
Oh, I love these vibes, man. Oh, so classic.
Did you see that picture of Donovan did you see that picture Donovan posted of him in the red hat?
I haven't watched any. I love you guys, but I already knew this was going to be like a media gong show, so I'm like, go have fun, do your thing. Whatever is over there, you 3 or 4 are going to elevate the shit out of it, and I was confident of that. And from what I understand, you did. So good enough for me.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Beyond that, haters. Can you believe, Cindy? It's like the Amber Heard trial just ended. Now they're like, Rollo, what do you think about Donovan this and Donovan that? You fucking babies. Sorry I was late, by the way. I had Dr. David Lay on. We were talking about like good you remember how it was find a masculine psychiatrist? Well, I found one. And it turns out they're actually pretty good. Yeah. And sorry to John to hear that you're that the fat fishing is all you've got for you right now in Florida. Hopefully it'll get better soon. You get back to Japan and you see girls with healthy BMIs.
It is awful, dude. Take me back to Germany.
Mate, you need to go to Poland. I mean, Germany's fine, but I wouldn't say Germany should be top of the list. Poland.
All right, let's do Hot Dude Con Poland. Let's do it.
Well, let's go to Ukraine. What could go wrong with that?
Yeah, nothing. I mean, it's so stable.
I still have video from the last time there were red pill dudes in Poland. Just saying.
Oh yeah.
Well, myself and Tusk are going to be in Poland for about a month or 6 weeks from the beginning of June. So, John, if you fancy getting a flight over, we could do I don't know, Hot Dude hot dude in the jacuzzi in Warsaw or something.
I'm ready.
Mhm.
I'm ready.
Oh yeah, how was it? I heard a bunch of guys in the chat now. They're talking shit about everything you guys are doing, and everything you guys are doing seems to be getting better and better and better. So I'm wondering, why the hate, guys? Let the man earn a living. It's like you're not going on a murder spree. How many of you guys have killed 6 people and shot yourself? None of you.
I was just about to make that point.
How many sat on a dildo?
I don't see too many people distancing themselves from Anthony Johnson for having, making Jack Murphy the, media director or whatever of the 21 convention way back in 2018 or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't see anybody distancing themselves from him when with that Roman McClay guy. I don't see anybody distancing themselves when Allende turns out to be a gay male stripper and is one of the featured speakers for this year's 21 convention. So who do you want to dissociate yourself?
The worst thing is I'm not even 6 feet tall. Can you believe that shit?
Oh my God. And
who
you're
the fuck am I?
I'm thinking being ginger might be actually an advantage. It's the secret sauce.
Oh, nice. But it was good. You guys had fun. The event, it went well. You know what? I'm just going to leave the question I had off camera. Or maybe. No. John, how's George Bruno?
Oh, yeah.
I have to ask.
George he's made of steel. He's a tall man. He's of great stature.
Well, John was saying. John, just repeat it again for Ryan. What was the conversation when you first met? When you and George Bruno came together again?
No, I just walked up to him and I said, "You can start with I'm sorry," and he said sorry, and then
he did.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's fine. I have it burned in my head. I got to make another Red Morning ad with his, like, you see that building over there? There's murderers in there. Anyways, back to Rollo Tomasi, and I'm like, oh, sakes, dude. Like, honestly, the only reason you'd want to distance yourself from this stuff is because it's just so laughably clownish sometimes, you know?
No, yeah. I respect George for conceding, and everybody's tough guy on the internet.
I was going to say this. It probably took a lot of insight. I'm actually kind of glad he did what he did. So.
Aww.
Yeah. No, he knows what's up. He knows what's up. But
well,
again,
that's all good then.
Even that, like I said, even that was still led to like having a great weekend. Like honestly, it was a blast, man. And then I got to meet the guy that Rollo's always talking about, Sosnick guy. And,
oh yeah, Adam's good. Adam is.
Oh, I thought you were going to say rugby. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a good one.
You guys don't know my sort of interactions with Adam. Adam is a really, really good dude, and he likes all this stuff, and like obviously he sees the value to it. I'll tell you what's funny is I met him. I got the invite to go do Patrick Bet David's show, and that was in February. And everyone told me like, oh man, Pat's going to love you. But like Adam is like so blue pill and he's going to be the one that pushes back against you. And it was like, no, actually, Adam was like on board from the word go. And so right after that, after I did Patrick Bet David's show, I was in Miami for a week. I was going to do Fresh and Fit again.
See ya.
All right. See ya, man. Thanks for coming. And so I was doing all this work with Fresh and Fit at that time. And then Adam out of the blue says, hey, I got a show on Thursday. Can you come back up to Fort Lauderdale again? And that's when I did the first show with him. And I did it with the witch doctor girl, the very initial one. The witch doctor. Well, they call her the witch doctor now, right? But she was supposed to be a doctor of something. I don't know, like conflict management or something. And it was her. And there was and then it was what's her name? Victoria Larson, who was the Bachelorette. She was on the Bachelorette, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'll go happily go do that one. And that was my first sort of introduction to valuetainment. And I thought, man, I could really work with these guys. I think what people really need to understand about valuetainment, and I see some stuff in the chat here where people are saying, valuetainment is really sort of coming up. They are. And I'll tell you why they're coming up, because they're doing what a lot of other companies are doing right now. If you go and you look at the Blaze, what the Blaze is it's Glenn Beck's net sort of like, media network, I guess, for lack of a better term. But what they're doing is they're kind of like social media / YouTube content creator aggregates right now. So when I went on with You Are Here right before Jack Murphy did, and I went on, I talked to Elijah Schaefer just yesterday. So I've got this back and forth with people at the Blaze, and that was a really good connection. But from that, it kind of snowballs into other things. But the Blaze is sort of this umbrella company, and then they've got like You Are Here. Well, they used to, anyways. I think they killed that show, but then they got Slightly Offensive. They got Ally Beth Stuckey, and they've got a bunch of other ones. It's more like a conservative style media aggregate, right? And so then you've got like Daily Wire. Okay, you got Candace Owens, you got Ben Shapiro, which is his thing. It's in Nashville. You've got Blazes in Dallas. Nashville has Daily Wire. They've got Andrew Clavin is on that as well. Matt Walsh, part of Daily Wire as well. So what it is this umbrella company, and they got like content creators underneath all of that. And then you got like PragerU is doing the same thing, but Valuetainment, to Patrick Bet-David's credit, is doing something very similar to that. They're building a soundstage there in Fort Lauderdale, not too far from the building that they're in, which is where we've shot shows right now. And they're doing something very similar. And so they're getting other content creators under that. And what I'm seeing happen right now is very similar to what happened when TV started taking off back in like the late 40s or 50s, where you got ABC, CBS, and all these other basically media conglomerates, and they had shows that they optioned, and it was all under whatever that channel happened to be. And I see that happening now with content creators on YouTube, and maybe hopefully in the future there's some other options like beyond Twitch and God knows what else. But those creators are under sort of the umbrella of Valuetainment. Adam Sosnick is one of those guys. He's also the co-host for Patrick Bet-David. And Adam is 41 years old, a guy who has never been married, no kids, again, successfully sort of spinning plates and has been doing so for quite some time, owns a club in South Beach, and is very much into the kind of stuff that we're doing. I've been on his show. I guess this is now the 5th time I've been on technically. And he was there. He was doing interviews at the CME, and it worked out really good. And the connection there and just sort of the relationship is working out very well. If you saw Allie and you saw Pearl and you saw Coco on the last show, I helped to sort of like stoke the virality, I guess, of the original video that Allie had done on TikTok that went just crazy. And she's got World Star Hip Hop, and she's got all these other people sort of asking her for interviews. I said, hold off. Don't do anything until you do Valuetainment, because she was already scheduled to do it on that Thursday, and it just worked. It was perfect timing, and we built up to it, and they had a really great show, better engagement than any other show that they've ever done. So I'm kind of working with them, and I'm working with Adam. And then the great thing about all this, you want to know why you go to the CME, you want to know why you go to conferences, it's for those connections right there. It's so that like I can hook him up with like Kevin Savo from Kevin and the Savo brothers doing their thing, and they networking. Imagine that. Actually, people face to face meeting in real time. Torsia did some of the stuff where she was doing some interviews at the CME for Valuetainment, and they were just like quick hit videos that they'll use as like shorts or reels or whatever else. So you got that interconnectivity, and I think that if there's a value to going to these conferences, that's it right there.
Yes, 100%. And they were really good guys. I mean, all the people you're mentioning. I mean, there's such a good group of guys there. Just real positive energy. It was really, really cool. And the same thing. The networking goes for the attendees as well. It's not just for us as the content creators or whatever. It's for the attendees as well, because you also get to meet all these people, but you also get to meet the other dudes in the audience as well, and start building out your own network. So,
that's not normal either, Troy. Like honestly, like you guys or us. In 2018, when we started doing these kind of things, that was the value add way more than like go and watch your guys you see on YouTube doing a spiel. It was the fact that like you or Rollo or Ed Lattimore were just sitting there having lunch at the place, and then like 15 guests would show up. It's like, you guys, mind if we have lunch? And you're like, yeah, come on in. I remember this. There was like you, Christian McQueen, if you can remember him, Ed Lattimore, me, Tanner. I can't remember if you were there or not, Troy.
I wasn't, I don't think.
Oh, you weren't. Damn it. But it was like, but everybody was just sitting here. It was like they got an extra speech for free, and it was just us having lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was great because I mentioned this too. So I'm like, guys, you realize that this is the value add. All that speech shit is just like, that's great, but nobody's going to sit there and take notes on why hypogamy is great. Yeah. And it was awesome because I realized like every place that any of us go, that's the benefit. It's because we're not, prim and proper media personalities. That's, what do you call it always? All brand, Rollo. You're always on as brand. Like, you're not. You're just a guy and you're talking. And so people have that level of access to somebody where they can actually shoot the shit or have an issue. That's the other thing. Like, and I know I don't want to shit on Jack Murphy here, but his cuck stuff.
Oh, go ahead. This is rule 0.
Well, that's the thing. Cuck stuff, nobody gave a shit that he passed his girlfriend off. What they gave a shit about is that he was ashamed of it and that he hid from it and he lashed out at fucking Sydney Watson over it. Bless her heart, by the way, for making that cucked sweater that she sold as merch. I'm like, good play.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what I mean. Like, there's no role, at least not yet. I don't know. I haven't seen their latest 2 or 3 things, so I could be wrong. But yeah, like, you don't have a brand. So if somebody comes up to you and they don't like something on your brand, as long as it's well thought out and not just people being adversarial for the sake of it, you're open to it, you listen to it, and if it's something good, sometimes you'll interpret into your work. Same with you, John. If somebody starts talking about karate kicks and it actually seems to work, you'll probably add it to your program, which I doubt it, but it's possible. And Troy, same thing with you. I start bringing up mystery method stuff. You're like, it's not a yad stop, get at. Like, no, you're like, oh, listen, it's cool. And if it works, it works. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. And that's the value add. I know you guys love it when I fluff you, so I'll continue to do it.
Please do. Yes.
But it's the value add is that you're like the unbrand. We're like the Nirvana of brands. There's not brands. It's just Rollo. It's just John. It's just Troy. There's just
I'll tell you, I think one thing, just from the content creator perspective, though, I would say one thing that's really important is actually meeting the people who attend these things, because to get an understanding of where they are and the issues that they've got, I think that's just invaluable from our point of view.
Exactly. I want to throw this one out there because people are going to ask about this. I'm just going to throw this out. Okay. Like Steamboat Susie here thinks she's going to troll whatever you are.
What? None of that made sense.
So, well, what they're saying, of course, and I want to put this one out there, is like everybody was saying, oh, it was supposed to be held at the Centric. It was supposed to be held, the CME was supposed to be held at a much nicer event, let's say a venue, and got pushed over to where it was at the Homewood, which was still, it was okay. I mean, it's not the Centric, let's just be honest. But they say, oh, it was in a broom closet and it was just in this one little, I mean, it was a conference room. It was big enough to hold enough. How many people do you think were in that conference room? At least when I was there, I was counting a good, 75.
So wait, you're saying people are angry that this unattractive space, let's face it, Red Pill is not popular. And they're mad that we didn't have the glitz and glamour of the Trump Hotel? Like, come on, guys.
Right.
Have some self-awareness. We're talking about our dicks. Yeah, what do you think?
People are saying that, and I can understand why, because Donovan has done this before. He did the CME out in Las Vegas, and he got bumped because the venue got doxxed, let's just say, and they didn't want the bad press for having quote unquote misogynists show up at their place. And quite honestly, I had a hard time believing that, but at that time, I certainly did. For this one, I don't know. I mean, I've seen, if we're going to talk about like events that could be like sort of construed as being, misogynist or being like, ethno-nationalist, let's just say, because that's the polite way of saying it. And then I can go and watch, let's see, what is it? What's trending right now is, what's that Love and S orgy hashtag that's going on right now? Like that kind of stuff.
By the way, fuck you for sending that to me. I clicked it. I'll never forgive you, you son of a bitch.
Be forewarned, we're going to talk about the Love and
you son of a bitch.
Loveness orgy, hashtag Loveness orgy. Yes.
Nastiest nipples ever.
Ryan would stick around long enough so we could talk about Loveness orgy in the United States, because that is some degenerate as shit, my friends.
What in the hell?
But when I've seen other events get canceled in the past, and I have seen them, okay, like I remember back in, you probably remember this too, Ryan. I remember when Tim Pool actually was doing video in Berkeley and like these riots because Milo Yiannopoulos and Ann Coulter were supposed to go give a
yeah.
They announced, they didn't even show up. They announced that they were going to do a speech at UC Berkeley.
Well, and even Rush's tour.
Yeah, and so and the whole city exploded because they're like, we're gonna have this hate speech here, blah blah blah, and that's when the riots started down there, and like the very first ones, and this is during the election year. This is before Trump is even president, and they're doing the agent provocateur kind of thing. And so I've seen events get canceled. Of course, people get canceled at schools and that kind of stuff. But then people are saying, well, it was really supposed to be at this place. I don't know. You can take that up with Donovan Sharp. I didn't organize it. In fact, I told Donovan I turned down the keynote address as being sort of like, Rollo Tomasi's the draw for this. I didn't want to be the draw. I wanted everybody else to be sort of on the same and equal footing as anybody else there. I'm just another content creator amongst everyone else. And I know people are going to go up, but you're Rollo, right? Okay, I got that. But I turned down the being the sort of keynote / featured speaker of the whole thing because I didn't want that. I didn't want anybody else who was like my contemporaries to think, okay, well, Rollo's just going to roll in and steal everybody's thunder.
Well, wasn't that one of the flagpoles used to get run up? There's that kiss the ring.
Right.
Dude, I dealt with so much shit on that, dude. Why are you kissing his ring? I'm like, fuck you.
I wipe my ass just like everybody else does. So it's like I wanted.
I think the space is pretty irrelevant. I mean, it was a decent hotel. It was a decent 4-star hotel, maybe even 5-star. I don't know, whatever.
It's Miami, for fuck's sake. It's in Brickell.
It was a decent, it was a great location, decent room, decent space. No issues with it at all. But really, all of that's irrelevant because what's important is the caliber of the people who were speaking there. And there was some damn good speakers, some damn good content there. And I genuinely think his event is just going to grow and grow. I can't see how it won't. I think positive feedback from this time. I think next time.
And Troy, you're kind of breaking up there on your audio. And then you got to remember that this is the second stab at doing this convention for Donovan, and he's other than Donovan, who else is doing it? Like we were going to do the Rule Zero live thing during 2020, right in the beginning of 2020. Boy,
and the feminists made COVID, and we had to cancel. You son of a cancel.
Well, and I mean, we still did the online event, and we still made it a real. I thought it was a really good thing. We did the best with what we had. So.
If anything,
we should still do an event though.
I think so too.
For sure. You guys should have had it though as like a dingy dive bar, a warehouse. I thought that would have been a much better thing. Make it the shittiest piece of shit place possible. Literally nothing there except for the speakers. Nothing there but you guys.
Like Fight Club, you go down into a basement.
Yeah. As a vibe would go, I thought that'd be fucking awesome.
After the bar closes.
Love Rollo's pettiness for that bum, Anthony Johnson. Well, I wouldn't have to even mention the guy's name if here we are 3 years later. So
in your family.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do I need to explain any of this shit? All you got to do is just go look at go back to June 2019 and look at his chronologically look at the history of the shit that he's done. No one wants to hang out with him. Nobody wants to work with this guy. He will work with anybody who shits on me or now shits on Donovan. If you say I hate Rollo Tomasi, you're automatically in for whatever 21's convention is. There's no value to it. There's nothing there. I was going to ask you guys this too. Do you think that we're kind of in a post-conference sort of world right now? I mean, at least as far as
I think a lot of people are scared to do conferences because, if you have any slight controversy regarding the stuff that you're covering, like you stand potentially getting canceled. Somebody showing up and protesting. Oh,
I think it's further balkanized is the thing. Like with the COVID cancel, like all of the conventions got shut down. So everybody had to come up with alternatives. And I think there was a 2-year period of experimentation. So I don't think conferences are going to come back to the same level they were, but only because new options are now coming out that are being tried. Like obviously virtual conferences. E3 has been doing that for a lot of their gaming stuff. Tekken had some online stuff. So I don't think it'll come back, but I think like the ultimate amount of people that were going to conferences will still be there. It's just they're going to be going to alternative type setups and venues, which is whatever. People are still going to want to go out. They're still going to want to like talk to brands, for lack of a better word. They're still going to want to have fun with other guys. It's just how.
Yeah.
I think there's got to always be a place for face-to-face real life events, right? I mean, it seems like, I mean, there is the problem with being cancelled and that kind of stuff. But I think. I mean, as good as the Rule Zero virtual event that we did was, and it was really, really good. There were some great speeches. You just don't get that same vibe, do you, as being in the same room as other people and feeling the energy.
Yeah, exactly. Glenn Lawrence, I don't know. You can ask John whether or not he's going to do a West Coast Hot Dude Con thing. If he did, I would expect it to be probably down in San Diego and certainly not in LA. But I don't know if he has plans for that. If he did, I would be happy to go because that's a much shorter trip.
I may be in the next year relocating down to San Diego.
Yeah. I would like very much to get I want to go down to San Diego and do sort of a live interview with Aubrey Huff, because I really want to sort of wrangle Aubrey back into all of this as well, because there's a time where he was really into this. He's doing his own thing. I mean, he's ex sports star. So let's see, extraterrestrial. What did I get wrong? If you're gonna go and do drive-bys, at least come correct and tell me what. Tell me what. Even one freaking instance, please.
I can tell you one thing wrong. If you're gonna kick a girl off your podcast, Rollo, don't feed her White Claws. Feed her gin and tonics. Everybody knows this.
You ordered, my friend. Yes. Yeah. I'll be happy to discuss whatever topic you happen to think that I got wrong. Let's go. Juan, Ryan, amazing Red morning show, had to leave because Rule Zero started, but gonna watch the rest of the interview because the subject was actually very interesting and important. Yeah, by the way, Ryan, I need to get you on my show again too. Oh
yeah, it's been a while, dude. I feel bad. It feels like people have been asking me, what's the problem with you guys? You guys now, are you splitting up? I'm like, no, we're just all busy doing different shit. Christ,
I know. I tell you, and let me throw this one out there. Wheat Waffles has very valuable content.
Fucking
how is it any more or less valuable than I don't know, MGTOW Dictionary or whoever was it, Face and LMS,
Child and
Black Pill, I don't know what.
Everything.
Well, he doesn't call as many people gay.
Yeah,
over an 8-hour stream, so it can't be that valuable.
Yeah. Well, again, my whole thing about Wheat Waffles is he strikes me as a guy who saw the niche and spoke the language and has built a channel off of sort of building he knows who to appeal to. He knows what to say. It's all over if you don't have, you're a chin cell. You're never going to get any chicks if you're a chin cell, and goes through all. Basically what he's doing is regurgitating all the shit that Face and LMS have been doing for God knows how. I was actually surprised it wasn't one of those guys who just sort of rebranded themselves. But again, it's just respect the hustle. I get what's going on there. I have a real tough time believing that he's actually a quote unquote black pill doomer, whatever.
To be fair, he sounds like the way Tate talks shit about me.
Yeah,
you're not 6 foot. You're not a real man.
Black pill.
Yeah. Cooking with onions and lettuce. What the fuck is this?
You guys should start a paper magazine called Rule Zero. Yeah, in our spare time.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of which, there's a guy who does this on Twitter. He does his own version of Playboy magazine, which is cool. Clary knows him. He got me on him.
It's Punch Riot, right?
No, not Punch Riot. Oh, there's another one then that does it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to talk about it later, but whatever. Yeah, it's interesting. All this stuff is out there, you guys. It's funny. It's just the trick is to find it, and that's kind of where Rollo's thing about networking is important.
Yep.
It's all better than Wheat Waffles shit. I'll tell you that though.
I know that guy Ernst Graf who does penicillin, but that's not a paper magazine. That's an online thing.
Is it?
It's really good. It's good.
He's the only reason porn's on my Twitter timeline anymore. That fucking guy.
It's funny you should say that, because when we were talking about the what is it, what the fuck is the name? Loveness orgy. If you don't know what that is, I'm proud to say that I had no idea what a Loveness thing was until this morning.
I have no idea.
I still don't know what it is.
I'm basically, it's basically on your link way that I think it started out at least for women, and it's sort of like I guess a dildo that you sort of tuck up in you and it vibrates, but it's patched into your cell phone. So there's an app that goes to it, and so you can I don't know, make it vibrate in different ways or some shit like that.
Oh, so it's like Superchats but for chicks.
Yeah, but you can do it through the internet too. So it's so I guess now everybody's going to have an orgy with their sex toys. I guess there's a male version of it too. I don't know. I wasn't interested enough to go find that out. But once I figured out what was going on, I'm like, yeah, that's the global sexual marketplace right there for you. And so I guess everybody's getting together. They're tucking their whatever loveness up whatever orifice that they want, and therefore, and now everybody's going to vibrate together, and we're all going to have one big giant orgy.
So is this better or worse than those fake ass sex dolls? That's the big question. What does Wheat Waffles think?
It's just a miniature.
Wheat Waffles, react to me. Yeah, I know. Exactly. And it's I'm looking at this and I'm going, and you guys are giving me grief for going to Like, what's more important to you?
Yeah, the bar for credibility is low. We're just saying that here.
Exactly.
I can't believe that the sex doll thing is seriously considered, though. I just don't get it. I mean, somebody posted on one of my videos.
Think about how many guys never even talk to girls. Like, of course.
Even so,
I think it's like Peloton. I think there's some astroturfing in it.
Yeah.
But even so, either you're gonna pay a professional, which is a different sort of thing. I get that, that's fine. But to be
you still got to deal with another person.
Yeah,
these guys are so terrified of talking to other people. They couldn't even can I give you money for a blowjob? Like they couldn't even do that,
dude. And they're not light. Apparently, all the joints are like made out of steel because they have to take a lot of pounding. They have to take a pounding, and so these things weigh like 160 pounds. So all these guys are like, American women are too fat. Then they get a 165-pound sex doll. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it.
Hey, this is a good one. Let me throw that up real quick. Mark says, I would take the CME seriously if you guys had legal and financial experts to prepare men in the future, not just being social with women and masculine. Funny you should say that, my friend, because you probably didn't realize George Gammon was there and would probably have loved to have gone on there. In fact, I probably could have got him a speaking spot at the CME if I had pushed hard enough for that. I agree with you. I 100% agree with that. I think what we need to start doing is the reason why I threw out the question, are we in sort of like this, our conference is sort of like a dead media. The reason I said that is because it's a waste of time for a lot of people. Like if people don't have the money to fly down to Miami, get a place, for a weekend, go hang out with people and whatever, like that's a very limited market right there. That's a very limited group. Like it's a very tight niche, let's just say. If you can expand that into money, muscles, and game and make the convention about those three things, that's going to have a broader appeal. Well, so when I'm out there, well, look what I've been doing. Like, we were just talking about, what have you done since 2019, right? Well, here's what I've done, right? I've made inroads with George Gammon, Robert Kiyosaki, Ken McElroy. We've got a guy like Justin Waller on board with us. We're working with Sterling Cooper. We broadened when we started doing Rule Zero. By the way, we're coming up on our 3rd anniversary, I should say. 'Cause I think it was like the 2nd week of June of 2019 is when people said, "Well, Red Man Group sucks now. It's going to die. Are you going to do something? Are you guys going to make this go on?" And to Ryan's credit, he says, "Let's do a show called Rule Zero."
Yeah,
you named the show. So. And then
whatever, it's like everything. It's whatever we do, it's going to be good. So
right.
Fuck
and
whatever.
We wanted to make it an aggregate. We wanted to make it sort of decentralized. It wasn't going to be an LLC. Nobody's making. I mean, I'm making. Everybody makes their super chat money. That's basically it. Mm-hmm. And that's why we pass it around, and people get frustrated. Oh, it's on Troy's channel. It's on Ryan's channel. Yeah, but we kind of do that because we don't want to. We don't want what happened to the Red Man Group to happen to to Rule Zero. That's why.
I told you guys, a brand would make this consistent, and it would be a format to it. It'd be like a Bill Maher episode, and you can go fuck yourself. No, this is the Globetrotters versus the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, and you know what? Here we are, 3 years later.
Well, John MLD keeps wanting to try and make it professional, doesn't he? But
and I understand that. I understand the want for that because we can really. I think maybe not make it so not necessarily monetized. Also, like make it a little bit more formalized. Yeah, and we do have. By the way, if you don't know about it, we have a Facebook group for Rule Zero, so you can find out where these things are. I don't know. I haven't really posted much on it recently, unless I'm announcing something. Mm-hmm. But we do have you can find out where the next one's going to be, which I think is going to be with Ryan next week.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I as far as like putting together a CME or something similar to that, I 100% agree, Mark Martin, because I think that like when we talk about money, muscles, and game, there's so much crossover. And so when I started working with Kiyosaki back in March, actually I shouldn't say that. I started working with Gammon first, and then I came into working with Kiyosaki, and I got to know Ken McElroy and some of these other guys who are in a completely different sphere from the manosphere, but there's crossover, and they realize Gammon really likes my book. McElroy loves my book. Kiyosaki and I have had, I got a text from him like a day ago. So where there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of communication. Then I get on PBD. Then I get on others, other channels, like larger name channels. Fresh and Fit have, like, to their credit, have really exploded because they found a template and they found something that works, and they are getting, and even, like, you say what you want to about the main show, but they are going to shows like No Jumper. They are getting optioned by, Mike Rashid, H3 talk. They'll never get that show, and fuck Ethan Klein. But, Ethan Klein is everything that is wrong with the United States. Everything that's wrong with this whole global.
He pops up on my timeline sometimes. Like,
everything that's wrong. I mean, you want to talk about
Joe Rogan for Weesh dudes.
He is Joe Rogan for
king of the Weesh. It's like, we're all pathetic, and
he will take anything out of context. He's and then the greatest day of this year was when Andrew Tate finally discovered Ethan Klein. I'm like, oh man, here we go. It's comedy gold. But I agree. I want to be able to, and I've said this on my show dozens of times. I want to be able to make inroads into things like the Collective. When I talked at the Collective, right after that, immediately 1 hour after I did my talk, I had a guy, Andrew Kibe, come up to Dallas. He is like I hope he's one of the number one podcasters in Kenya. Comes up, gets a room at the Omni, says, "I'm here, everything's set up. Can you come and do can you come do my 2-hour interview?" No problem. I sit down there. At the end of the show, he says, "We want to invite you to Kenya for an all expense paid, trip to Kenya. We want you to meet the guys there. We're going to treat you right. We're going to show you around the country and everything else. And we want you to talk to these guys. We're setting it up right now. What do you say?" I'm like, "Yes." And then immediately after that, I got in my inbox, I got people from Brazil who want me to go speak at some masculine conference in Brazil, right? And so now we're globetrotting, and now we're like international, and now we're making connections outside of what we would normally call the manosphere. And I think that, first of all, it's very threatening to a lot of guys, and then also I think but don't feel threatened because it's such a broad opportunities right now. So I'm also talking to guys like I mentioned his name earlier, Derek Thomas. I'm looking for guys who are like plugged in, like red pill wise, but are also like fitness experts. And Derek and his brother definitely are. Drew Bay is somebody that I know who's sort of on the red pill side. He's also a fitness guy. John Fitch, of course, is a fitness guy. So that's the other aspect: money, muscles, and game. So if we can do sort of finances, entrepreneurship, game, for lack of a better term, social skills. You got Troy Francis and me, and Ryan, and you got John Fitch, and you got these other guys who are sort of like fitness gurus, but they're still like, they still understand. Everybody understands everybody else's niche and how we all kind of fit together. I 100% agree. If we're going to do other conventions in the future, it needs to be that trifecta, I guess.
Yeah. And we did have Miguel talking crypto as well.
Exactly.
Well, it's scope too, right? Like what happens? You guys get. Oh, sorry, John. Yeah.
That's something you got to take into account too. Is when you're asking about financial people, we're in a place in history right now where there might not be any financial experts that can prepare you for what's coming. I'm sorry, but buy gold, buy silver, buy land. Even then, if you have to pay $1,000 to buy a loaf of bread, do you think the government's going to let you keep your shit?
Yeah. I'll tell you what's funny. I'll tell you what's crazy is, like, I see stuff like this. Well, how come Coach EO, Greg Adams wasn't there and Coach EO wasn't there, right? If that's your main concern, like try to look a little bit beyond just the manosphere. I don't know. Go ask. You can ask them, or you can ask Donovan, because I certainly have no idea what the schedule is. I had nothing to do with the logistics of any of this crap.
It's a scope too, though, right? Because I mean, you get the financial guy in there, you get the game guy in there, but then it's like, well, I need to fix my car. How do I get that guy in here? Well, I want to go for school. So where's the university guy? You can't be everything to everyone all at once.
It was one event over
from the outside who will never go, never spend any money. They always try to find an excuse why they shouldn't do it. It's all the same BS. It's all the same BS.
They probably just want to hear Rollo rant about the flagpole.
It was one event over one weekend. They'll do another one. They'll get other guys
in.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Troy. You were saying?
I was just saying it was one event over one weekend. They had who they had. When he does it again, he'll have a different roster. I mean, it's people are overthinking this stuff, I think. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about Fresh and Fit, but Fresh and Fit came down. Fresh and Fit were there, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. And honestly, one of the reasons why Fresh and Fit weren't making a big deal out of it is because Anthony Johnson was behind their nudity strike back in February. He was behind the hate speech report spam, and this is confirmed by YouTube. And I'm not betraying anyone's trust by saying this because it's public knowledge right now. The dude, and most likely DDJ, because he's got the tech skills for this kind of stuff. They were the ones who were responsible for getting them suspensions.
At least he's good at something.
They know this. They're at the, and yeah, trust me, they know this. So, legal preparations have already been set in motion, and YouTube knows this as well, Anthony. So just saying, but that
we're coming for you and your mega hat bullshit, motherfucker.
Well, exactly. Well, and it's, I mean, like I said, it's I've seen the receipts. Just put it that way, and they know this. So, as things go on, this is the level of OCD. This is the level of and it's like, here we are trying to make inroads with guys like Kiyosaki, make inroads with other
Adam Kriegler. I just had him last week.
I'm out there busting my ass to make these connections and do these shows and work with Valuetainment, and I don't even have to be on the show, and I'm still helping and Adam put together a kick-ass show and build his brand, because Saucecast was, when I got on there, I think it was all at like 20,000. I think it's probably up to 70 or 80 right now. And when they go on there, and like, for instance, when Allie and Pearl went on there, I think they had like 2,600 live views when that conversation was going on. And that's the most live views. To me, I'm like, I'm averaging like 2,300. That's an amazing show for a show that's only been around for like not even a year. So when I look at that and I put that together, and it's like, we're doing all this work, and we're out there networking, we're busting our asses, and it's not just about hoarding our cash or what the next book is or what the next yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay, funnel marketing, here we go. That's not what we're doing, asshat. We're actually putting stuff out there and building something that's larger than really the manosphere of the red pill is. So when we can go to different countries, we can go into different niches, when we can go in the fitness space or the financial space, that's something you will never do, because first of all, you don't have those connections, and second of all, you lack the work ethic to even go do that. So when I'm out busting my ass and I go on these shows, and I go on and I go head to head with Michaela Peterson, and I'm right. When I go on, the Blaze, when I go on with PBD, when I'm doing I'm making all these connections and stuff, I'll tell you what pisses me off is everybody wants to just sort of drag your ass down with something else, or they want to ride your dick onto those shows as well. And I'm looking at,
I know what you're talking about there.
Andrew Tate in this instance. Sorry. I mean, I like Andrew Tate and I like the Tate brothers. I like what they do. I like the message. I like their direction. Don't get me wrong, but I wonder why guys still need to use spam bots to follow me onto all of these shows and say, get Tate on the show, get Tate. And it's like, it's Chinese spam bots first and foremost. And anytime my name is in the title of another show, these guys follow me to that show and they go, oh, he's on PBD. You should get Tate. Tate should be next. Get Tate. Tate. Okay. Why do you need to do that? Why is that even a thing? I'll tell you, the only reason that this kind of like really rubs me the wrong way is because I bust my ass to go and do this shit. I bust my ass all the time to help other people like with their brands and put time into people like Kevin Savo or these other guys, you guys as well, putting this whole thing together.
You've talked about this since the start. It's the slow money versus fast money, right?
Right.
You're worried about flashes in the pan. Meanwhile, you're making steak in the oven. It's a clown show. You've got a stronger stomach than me, so I've got to give you credit for that. Like, I have no patience for any of this nonsense, but you're willing to get in on it because you see the bright end of the tunnel. It's probably why you're richer than me, so I'll give you credit for that. But you're like, fuck, whatever. Worst case scenario is you have to deal with some idiots running up the flagpole in chat. To be fair, I've been able to meme that to a successful gaming career, so like keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
The game is what it is, and everybody wants the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial to never end. Unfortunately, it does. So now we got to shit on Rollo because of what's the thing for this week? Whatever it is. I don't know. CME, you went to there and you talked to George Bruno. You fucking idiot. Oh my God.
Exactly. How could you possibly do that?
What about the integrity?
I wanted to make sure that everybody knew the conversation between George and like, I'm kind of indifferent to George Bruno, but John has quite the history with George Bruno.
But I mean, the whole thing is like you guys are even the hate followers. I swear to God, these guys, if they didn't talk shit about you in your chat, where else would what else would they be watching?
Followers.
Really,
some of them are drama followers. They just
exactly
they love the drama. They can't wait to hear. Did you hear about what so and so did? Oh my God, I saw a picture of his wife. What do you guys think about this? Like, it's just so feminine.
His real name is exactly. Like Tomasi is not his real name. Ryan Stone is not his real name either. So just let's clear the air.
I don't want my real life anywhere near this fucking clown shit.
There's been people in the chat though, just even during this show, like consistently, like, oh, what about this? What about that? You know, and
let's address one of those real quick here for Steamboats. I heard Rollo had an opportunity to confront Alex from playing with fire in Miami, but he chickened out. No one ever contacted me about that. And
over what?
Full stop.
What would you?
Thank you.
Did you hit on your daughter too? What?
Me about anything like that? No one said jack shit. So there. End of rumor.
What did Alex do? Does he not like your football? Doesn't like the 49ers?
No.
He hates Ibanez. I hate Ibanez. We can have beef.
Alex is an employee of Anthony Johnson, essentially. And he's been working with him.
What are you going to confront him about? Hey, your boss sucks dick. He's like, probably.
And I thought what was funny is like Kevin went on his show and just basically confronted him and said, hey, well, what about this shit? And he had nothing. I mean, these guys, seriously, they're functionally autistic. If you go and you look at seriously, with the vocal tics and even the facial tics and everything else that goes along with functional autism, look at John Anthony. Look at Alex from Playing with Fire. They have that kind of window licker special ed look to these guys in the first place. It's like you're building your brand off of talking shit about me. What are you doing? Tell me what you're doing. Are you making inroads? Are you going to Uganda? Are you going to Kenya?
Very feminine.
What are you doing? Are you going talking to other people
without male presence in their life?
Yeah, exactly. That's all. Funny you should say that. Because I think Ryan and I have talked about this before. It's like these guys, when we talk about how we raise our boys as if they're defective girls, when those boys grow up and they become men, they're defective women, right? Yep. They were defective girls before, and now they're defective women. And this is the mentality. This is what consumes. They're like it's a compulsion for these guys. And and people go, oh, that's bitch behavior. Yeah, it is, because we've raised a generation of bitches who don't know how to think in any other way.
Just starfish shit talking in the chat. No performance, no excellence, no enthusiasm. Come on, guys, quit using teeth in your blowies here. You're better than this. I mean, you're not, but you could be.
Speaking of social, how do you also prepare men to deal with women like Amber Heard? We have done so many episodes about BPD and MPD. Have you seen any of the shit I did about Meghan Markle? Really, there's a whole archive of videos on this very channel.
I can sum it up. Avoid.
Yes.
Avoid.
Fuck and then leave.
Recognize the red flags and avoid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would that be before or after she craps on the bed?
Yes.
I mean, it's sheets. They're not expensive.
Amber Heard was the only one who gave a shit in that relationship.
Is that one of the red flags in Rich Cooper's book that you need to look out for? If she takes a dump on your bed.
Do you really need a 2-hour episode from Rollo Tomasi to tell you that when the girl shits on your bed, leave?
I had a girl broke my bong once.
You really need me to go into great detail about that.
That's got to be a red line. That's got to be a red line.
Yes. Yep. I thought meeting up. I thought even just the side stuff that we were doing at the CME was really good too. Like just the meetups and people kept saying, well, why would you want to go to these things? Well, it's not just the conference. And I tend to agree with what the rest of these guys was saying about the value, the outside value, I think, of just sort of meeting up as guys and doing things. I mean, there's the optics, of course, you're going to put stuff on Instagram as well. But I did I guess a sort of an impromptu meetup with myself, the Savo brothers, a few other guys from the NFT line, the Red Pill Lions project that we're working on, the NFT that we've got. Torsha was, of course, with us as well. Kevin Savo was there. We were walking around Brickell and doing just like, and then Giovanni, by the way. I got to give a shout out to Giovanni because Giovanni is this young musician from Arkansas and he plays a black gentleman, and he also happens to play the kind of stuff that I do in Trial of Ascension. So we had that connection there, but he's also a Red Pill guy. And I said, dude, you got to come out. We just got to hang out just for a little while. And he was there, and I gave him a shout out in my speech and all that. And it's just good to meet people face to face, because that's the only time you're going to have that connection. I had so many people come up to me and go, like almost tearful, like saying, hey, you saved my life, and I wanted to come out here and shake your hand personally. I had a guy in Dallas do that. I had what is it? I'm going to block on your name. Geeky Anomaly, who works with Donovan. Dude came, I think he drove an hour from hour from Henderson, and came to the Red Rock when I was in Las Vegas, staying at, to see my daughter graduate. I did a book signing there, because the book, there's actually a new book out. And so I had a few people come in, and I was signing some books. It's just that good, face to face, and that talking and having that engagement and that personal interaction. I think that's invaluable. Let's see what else we got in here. I got a few others. Rollo, hate is the daytime soap for the femboys. Yes, it's your soap opera is what it is. What you got here, Robert P? Relationship advice. Here you go. I'm 38, dating a divorced 39-year-old with one kid. House has foreclosed with bankruptcy on her record. Great chemistry, and looking for an LTR, not marriage. Thoughts? What would you guys do? Anyone?
I love how he taps into well, first off, I already kind of talked to him a bit in chat. You can't put the logical stuff and the emotional stuff together. I get you want a relationship, and the problem is you're looking at every girl and trying to force fit her into that model. And it's obvious. You're talking about how she's broke and she's got a kid and she's older, so you're kind of setting us up to say, no, she ain't the one, dude. But you're going to feel what you feel. So the only advice that works for you is you have to get good at fuckology. You have to be able to pick up girls. You have to be able to have smash. Be able to one-night stands, plates. Eventually you get to the point where you're wanted enough, you're good enough at attracting women that one of them tries to lock you down, or at least one. And then that's your decision. That's when you decide, do I want to stick with this one, or do I want to stick with the other one? That's the only way it works, because until you're in that position, girls don't show you their true nature. They show you what you want to see. They try to get what they want out of you. And it sucks. And most guys hate this step because it's annoying. It's a slog. There's periods of like slump busters. There's periods where, I don't like any of these girls. There's dry spells of 6 months and whatever. But yeah, there's a reason you don't like it. And that's because it's hard and it looks like work. But it's a damn fun experience if you get with it. And I know it's not the answer you want to hear, but it's the only answer that's worked. That's how Rollo got into his relationship. That's how I got into my relationship. That's how John's gotten into his new relationships. The ex one is like, don't follow that advice. But you know what I mean? It almost has to be an accident, and it's Briffault's law. Everybody here's talking about MGTOW shit, but you guys don't even read their shit. Yeah. Briffault's law. The woman decides the terms of the relationship. Period. If there's a relationship, if a girl wants it, it happens. If a girl doesn't want it, it doesn't happen. That's why divorce is female-led. So as a guy, your job is to be a top-tier man that girls want to lock down. And then the ones that lock you down, you choose among them the one that you're happiest with, or the one that has the least red flags, or all this shit. And nobody ever says this because it doesn't fit on a postcard or an icon on your Twitter feed. You can't sell a Gumroad course to it. Yep. And yeah, everybody runs Rollo up the flagpole because he's talking about how to be good at fucking. And you guys are like, I don't want to fuck. I want a wife. He goes, well, that's how you get there. So Jesus Christ, stop jumping straight from, I don't want to go to school. I just want a PhD, do you know? I think, is that a fair summary of this whole thing? And holy
but
geez,
I would
look
say
at those pecs.
though,
that's awesome.
I would say though, I agree with all of that, but I would say though, just basically, he's saying he's 38. He's dating a divorced 39-year-old, so a slightly older woman who's 39, and she's got a kid, and she's got these red flags in terms of her, her house being foreclosed, everything like that. I personally wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. That's just me talking. And like, just go to Colombia, man. What are you doing?
That's such a British way of saying
God, I love that.
Just go to Colombia.
Why is that your only girl you're dating?
If that was the only option I had on the table, I think that I would probably cut my nuts off. But it shouldn't be the only option you have on the table. There are other things that you can do. You don't need to be saddled with a woman like this. However, as Ryan said correctly, the reality is you've probably got feels for her, so it doesn't matter what I say because you're just gonna continue it anyway. But I personally, she doesn't sound like a great bet to me.
A barge pole. It's a very long pole that pushes a barge.
Yeah.
Come on, you literalists. Get with the program. Oh man! Hey, Paul Benjamin is in the house. What's going on?
In his
What the hell are
Muskoka
you?
chair. Look at him go.
Are you?
I'm sorry, I was losing a little reception.
North Carolina,
I'm
where
in
are you?
northern Michigan right now. I'm in northern Michigan. I just had to pop in and say hello.
Hello.
I got hi guys. It's been like a military training sort of month. Like you guys at the CME, I was doing some bull stuff, and then next week I got to run a machine gun range for about 2.5 weeks. So I won't be back until like after whenever that weekend is after the 20th. So like end of June. So I just thought I'd pop in and say I had a little R&R, and I got no reception up here, man.
Right. But yeah, just enough to flex on everybody watching.
Yeah, it's not to show up with no shirt on and be like, "Hey guys, what's going on?"
He's a man.
World Zero calendar, yeah.
You've taken the sort of. You're taking the MLD role, aren't you?
I need some Gucci sunglasses or Versace sunglasses or something, right?
You just need a hot tub, and then it'll be set.
Yeah, for real. But so anyway, that's it. I just came in to say hi. I don't know what's going on. I had no idea. You guys are talking about CME. I missed it. Well, whatever.
Next time. When are you back?
A nice time.
Yeah. When are you back? When are you back in?
Back. Yeah, the 20th of June is like a Monday, so that weekend I'll be able to roll zero.
Paul, if you want to go to Rebel Capitalist again, like when we were there before, that's on it's on the weekend, I believe, of the 25th through the 27th of June, and I will definitely be there. Speaking of which, I'll be doing a workshop there. I'm not going to be speaking at that convention per se. I always get the invite because people want to come and talk. Shaking hands and kissing babies, but I'm going to be doing a formal workshop. It'll be on the opening night, so it'll probably be like the Thursday or that Friday, probably a Thursday when everybody's getting there. So I'm going to be doing that as well.
Cool.
I'm starting to do some more formalized stuff for Rebel Capitalist. As I said, I was speaking at the collective, which was a really great talk, but I'll be doing some workshops there as well. But if you want to come down, let me know. I'll get you on the guest list.
Yeah, man. I do. I'll get out with you offline on that. That would be great. And just a little endorsement for the audience to hear on you is about receipts and everything, man. Those people respected the shit out of you. And they just when I came to visit you, it was just to see what's going on, but they were these people who are not in this space were just oh, thank you for all you've done and all this stuff. I mean, had that chick give you that note and just pretty much you saved my son's life. Just crying.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny. What's funny about that, Paul, is I kind of forge relationships with guys say for Adam Sosnick, for example, or Justin Wall is a really great example as well. And so I'll hang out with Justin. Justin and Sterling and Tom came out to Lake Tahoe. They hung out with me and my wife. We spent a week in Tahoe, just being dudes, just hanging out. And so I'm there. I have sort of this one-on-one with them, and we're talking about ideas and doing all this shit. But then when I get into a situation where I'm at the collective, or I'm at Rebel Capitalist, or for instance at this at the CME. I'm in a different environment because that's when I get sort of mobbed by people in the lobby, and I can't move from the lobby to get to the damn, the convention room so I can go do my talk. Right. And so when I'm doing that, I think people who are sort of familiar with me in one sense, when I get mobbed in another, they look, I think they have a different understanding of what it is that I've been doing for really going on over 20 years now. And as soon as I got to the CME I was there the second night, and then I went and did my talk, and I got there, and I just, people wanted I think I spent the first half hour, 45 minutes signing books, taking pictures with other people, shaking hands and, talking to them directly. And I'm there, Kevin Savo's there, Tori's there. And she's like, wow, you're kind of famous. I'm like, fucking thank you, Jesus Christ. It's like, you have to be here to figure this shit.
Thanks.
And it's not a flex. It's just like, I don't even really think about it. But I think that people see me in one context, like they'll see me like face to face on a show, or if I'm at a book signing or whatever, that's a different thing. But like when you're at those events, then it's a different dynamic at that point. And it's like, it's not like I said, I'm not glossing myself. It's just, I think people don't really realize the differences in, when you get into different environments. What was that other one?
Right.
Good one up here. Here it is. Do you guys think a show on parenting kids from a red pill perspective could be a good thing for us single fathers new to the red pill? I think it could be. I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, it needs to be run by fathers, I think, though.
There's
a lot of single 28-year-olds talking about how to raise your kids, and I'm thinking that kind of falls flat.
Yes.
I'm an 11-year-old, so
that was the one thing that kind of bugged me about about like the show with Coco and Allie and Pearl, and they're talking about raising kids and how important family is and all this other stuff. And it's like none of these women are mothers,
have kids, right?
And
reminds me of remember the tweets that tell your son this shit.
Them. It's just like from a sort of a experience perspective,
Yeah.
No,
isn't that the whole point of this too? It's all experience swapping notes.
Yes.
One thing I do as a father is I watch all of my kids' shows and programs, everything. Like they're not going to watch a show that I haven't seen already, or if I'm not watching it with them, it's not happening. I'll sit and do work while they're watching something, and I make them pause, and I'll explain to them why that show's brainwashing or full of shit or whatever. And then I'll even pull stuff up on YouTube, or I'll Google stuff and I'll show them historical references to stuff to show that show was wrong. There's times like these, they try to slip in all this grooming shit nowadays with like boys kissing each other, girls kissing each other. Like they're like fifth graders in the show. Dude. And I'm like, I make them pause it. I'm like, guys, there is no reason for you to be watching anything that has to do with like sex and kissing and dating. You're not old enough. You're not interested in this. They're like, yeah, this is gross. Like, why are they doing this? Like, they don't even want to see it, but it's being forced on them. So I'll make them stop watching the show. You're not allowed to watch this anymore. This is not age appropriate, regardless of what the rating says. Like sometimes it's just, there's no way. It is straight up grooming, 100% grooming.
Well, yeah,
go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, this is a big thing. And I mean, we do a show like that. I have to really get my wits about me because I don't want to talk about too much personal outside of it with my own son, just to protect his privacy and privacy of like my family. But there's struggles like in the schools nowadays and them promoting things that I would consider not sexually appropriate for the age level that they're at, regardless of, gender or what their preferences end up being, right? Like to impose on a kid who is latching on to social conditioning, which might be a little feminine. You see this with my son's friends, a lot of different people.
They want attention.
Well, and if you look at what's available for cartoons, entertainment, any of the modern stuff, unless you're, trying to get them to watch the old cartoons back in the day,
that's what
it's all the heroes are females. Everything's gynocentric. And so the boys start getting interested in more female things. And then the teachers will be like, oh, like, you might be gay kind of conversations with 9-year-olds. And it's like, hold on, this is not age appropriate or gender appropriate either. Like, I mean, imposing, you could pick your gender to an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And so
John would be John, you're parenting boys right now. I would say I mean, my daughter's, grown and out of college now, but like, I have one of the reasons I wrote the third book, which is Positive Masculinity, is because I had exactly this question. People were saying, I'm a father. When should I give my sons the rational male? And I'm like, whoa, slow down. I would love for them to just like, are they really going to absorb it? Are they really going to, get into it kind of thing? I said, it's much better if you sort of live by example up to the point where you can go, okay, well, now you're going into college. Here's this. Here's the thing.
And a lot of the most dangerous part of all of this, teachers talking to their kids about this stuff, is the kids that don't get a lot of attention from their parents at home. Now all of a sudden they have an adult who's like super excited to talk to them They get all the attention. They're an important person all of a sudden. Of course, they're going to start leaning towards those things because that's where they get the rewards. Mm-hmm. I was watching some girl talking about her son being trans, and she thought he was trans because he wanted to put makeup on. Well, she spent probably 3 hours a day putting on her makeup, ignoring her son. So, of course, the son got excited and interested in what she was doing with her time. Right. The only way that boy could get her attention is if he played with the makeup too. Yeah. So now he's trans, and she's probably going to ruin his life because he just wanted his mom's attention.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're imposing adult decisions on children who can't make these decisions for themselves.
The problem for that
is his contouring was shit, really. He couldn't contour at all.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you why. You want to know why things are so why things are so fucked up with like raising kids right now is because they want this. And I talked about this in Positive Masculinity. It's the village. It takes a village to raise a child, right? Well, now that village is the global marketplace of ideas, which is very woke and very progressive and very built on. Hold on, John, Paul. I'm going to mute you real quick because I got some feedback on you. Hang on one second. It's the reason why it's so it seems so whack right now is because all of that is built on social constructionism and the blank slate and the belief. I think it's just sort of this interchangeable belief that children have the capacity for abstract thinking at like 18 months old, and that they know whether they're a boy or a girl at 18 months old, which is patently ridiculous. And anyone, any evolutionary psychologist, evolutionary biologist, whatever you want, I don't care. Bring the science in, they're going to tell you you're full of shit. So we can only sort of glean one thing, and that is this is grooming. Right? That's all this is. It's grooming the next generation to believe what they want them to believe. It's indoctrination. It's just like we'll talk about how like religion like teaches hate or this ideology teaches this or that, but that's essentially what it is. It's a institutionalized religion that is trying to create more believers for the future. And so when I look at what's going on as far as like the education system is concerned, especially in public schools, when we talk about, I mentioned this in my talk, by the way, at the CME, it's like where does anyone go for education right now? Because the major universities or public schools have all been corrupted, and they are all built on that. Corruption is all built on three things technically, but emotionalism, social constructionism, and the blank slate. Take those three, legs off the stool, and everything that they promote crashes to the ground. And until we are ready to have the debate between emotionalism and empiricism, it's just going to get worse. It's going to be Loveness orgy all over again for everyone else. It's going to be the next variation of that. And so where do you go? What do you do? And as I was saying before, we're all teachers now. I'm a teacher. John's a teacher. Brian's a teacher. Everyone is teaching these guys because where are they looking for answers? Where are they looking for education? Where are they looking to I don't know, hang drywall and pick up girls? They're looking on YouTube. They're looking at guys like us, and we have a freaking obligation to like tell them the truth. We have an obligation to set them in the right direction because they're not getting this in college. They're not getting this from their parents. Homeschool your children. It's not complicated. Great. Okay. But are you really qualified to give them a full, well-rounded education? Because I'll tell you right now, I'm my IQ's up there and I'm a fairly well-educated guy, but I'm like, there are certain, I could not teach my daughter trigonometry. I would need somebody else to come in and they have a tutor to teach her. And she's very good at math, by the way, to have calculus. Rollo Tomasi is not teaching calculus to anybody.
Calculus is for alpha males.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess I'm doomed. Right? Yeah. So I understand I see this all the time from like libertarian women, take your kids out of school. Yeah. Okay. I agree. But where do they get the education from? Where do they get this? How do they get educated on things that you'd have no idea about? Like where do you go for something like that? So I think it's a valid question, but again, let me get to these real quick.
The internet, there are avenues, resources, ways to do it. Because it's something that I wanted to do and things I've looked into a lot. And I've ran into a number of people who did homeschool, and because of how awesome their kids were and the way their homes were, it turned me on to the idea of doing it.
I did it for a part of the year ago, but my son he's a bit, I'd say he's been he'll be fine, but he's a bit on the spectrum. We could call it like that. Again, I don't want to protect his privacy on the internet, but yeah, I took him to some brain imaging stuff. We did a bunch of neurological stuff, stuff that I know, stuff that I got from a brain imaging center, and actually got his behavioral, his emotional self-control together. And we'd spend 3 hours a day doing that. And then I did the rest of his schooling for a while, but it's hard, man. It'd be hard to homeschool him full time all the time. I feel like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's definitely some work if you're going to do it right and not just put him in front of a television and go do whatever,
Exactly. I got to get to these supers here before we wrap. Kingdom Citizenship says, and thanks for the $20, brother. Question for Fitch. A lot of MMA fighters talk about being alpha, but from what you saw behind the scenes, how were most fighters when it came to intersexual dynamics?
No, they're all very blue pilled, really religious people. Like fighters have this idea of duty and honor and whatever, and they will put themselves in really bad situations. It's one of the reasons why
soldiers.
Yeah, one of the reasons why MMA fighters get so manipulated by the promoters is because they have daddy issues, or they have these false senses of trust and low values of self-worth. And, they're easily taken advantage of because they think they're doing something, this is my duty, my honor. Like I'm supposed to suffer to whatever. And, they'll stick out bad relationships and shit they're not supposed to be in, and you'll get a common tactic that a lot of blue pill alphas do is, they cheat.
Yeah, they got access. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I have Glenn Lawrence here. The teaching of emotionalism in our schools is my opinion a huge factor in our young men these days. Yes, that's how you create boys into defective girls. Generation of boys acting emotionally in a violent way, but the schools don't want to teach logic and reason anymore. Yeah, because it's participation trophy mentality. Everybody has to be special, and when everybody's special, no one is special. And that's the way that's what they're looking for. What else is here? Most all of you learn in school is useless anyways. I disagree. I think there was a time when going to school, the point of going to school was education, and to be a well-educated person who can speak at least somewhat reasonably and logically and intellectually on a great many subjects. And if they can't, at least you have the critical skill, critical thinking skills to say, you know what, I don't know that, but I'll find out, right? And I think that when people tell me, well, you can go learn all this stuff on YouTube, you can learn all this stuff online, you can go figure this out. It's not like you're required to go learn Western traditions. It's not like you're required to go learn about one of the things I talk. Mao's China, right? The social, the cultural revolution in China. Unless you have some burning interest to know about that, and it's a very important event in Chinese history, and I think a lot of that affects politics today. But unless you took a class on that, or you had to take some sort of keystone, cornerstone class in college to really understand that, you go, well, why am I ever going to need this in what I do? There were so many things, by the way, that I took when I was in university that I apply to what I do right here and right now. And for the most part, it's like being able to not be a dumbass about a great many things. So where do you get an education? And for the most part, you want to, I mentioned this, by the way, when I was at, and Ryan, you'll love this. When I was in Las Vegas and I was watching my daughter graduate, it was the master's degrees and it was the doctorate degrees. And as they're sort of filling in, they were giving some fun facts about this class, right? And the demographic, the gender shift between men and women who are in the graduating with masters or doctorates, it was 64% women and 36% men that were graduating with a master's or higher. And I think this was something I hadn't thought about, because I'm always looking at general numbers. I'm always it's 60-40, right? There's 60% more women and there's 40% guys who are, across universities, and that's the gender skew. Yeah, that's the total. But what about higher degrees, like doctorate? What about masters? What about that, that kind of stuff? A PhD. What's the gender shift right there? And I think it's even greater right now. And I hadn't even really realized that until I started doing until I heard about that. Let's see. Do I have anything else? Get them in real quick. Glenn. I challenge Paul to a bench press max competition here on Rule Zero Live. I would do that.
Let's get it on.
We could probably do that, actually. We could actually stream that. I want to see Glenn.
I'm not a young man like Glenn. I think he wins. I'll give him the trophy.
It'd be awesome. The red pill. Yeah, everybody always cancels boxing matches. We can do the strongman shit. You can pick up those giant rocks.
Yeah, I'd actually do better in a boxing match. I don't actually conventionally bench much because of anymore, just because of some shoulder stuff. So I usually do dumbbells.
If we did a conference, like a CME conference, and it was like
we'll do something else.
Game. The muscle side, we would have to do that and live stream that. So as part of the
that'd be fine.
That would be fun.
We'll do a full. Yeah, we do a full.
People would really watch that too. Like amongst everybody in the manosphere, we should have like a strongman contest. Like we have to pick up like a big old stone, or have to like measure.
Putting a car.
You want to talk about blood sports? That would be awesome. Public schools are awful. Don't have kids, but would only homeschool if I did. It's a gynocentric training camp to create workers for opposite corporate serfdom system. 90% of women teachers is the problem. Need voting.
Let me jump in on that.
90%. It's 78% in the United States, but still.
Let me jump in on that one though. So, because most people are not like living a lifestyle where they can just take off, 6 or 7 hours a day to homeschool their children. Like, what you can do though is you can spend an hour and a half a day. You can make your kids I make my kid read a certain amount every single day and get off the screens, and you can give them material like I had my son read Animal Farm, for example. What is it, George Orwell, and stuff like that. Watching little YouTube clips that what was it, it was, I'm trying to think, it's like a libertarian group put it out. It was about the minimum wage, for example, and it was like a cartoon, but it got you thinking about like these topics and really instill critical thinking, because you're not going to indoctrinate your kid, but you're going to offer him a alternative point of view and get him to think critically. That way, when as he ages, he's not just indoctrinated with one point of view, which is whatever the public schools present. And you're just making him challenge his mind and challenge these ideas. If you try to like force and push it on him, when he gets into teenage rebellion, he's going to end up more woke than you ever could imagine or want. So, but if you can get him to think critically, and it's just a little bit of a time investment to offset what the public schools are doing, then that can be good for most people. Yeah.
I'll bring up opposite points of view without saying that one of those points of view is mine. I'll be like, well, some people think this, and some people think this, and some people think this. So they get a full spectrum of all the ideas floating around something.
Yep. Oh, we got this up. Hold up. Wait a minute. I got to do that. Sorry. I know Ryan hates that. Okay. Hold on. Yeah. Thank you. Sloan says this. Thanks for that $99, and I will read your thing. It's I was at the CME, older, president of 2 companies, wealthy. I deal with young women. Good. Came to see Kevin Savo's pizza story was powerful. Yeah. Right. Donovan Sharp airing his dirty laundry at Anthony Johnson was juvenile. Don't care. Very surprised how physically unfit some high value men are who spoke. Right. And that's
was Socrates there?
No. and by the way, I 100% agree with you. I think we need to just I've tried to do this from day one. It's like, I'm just going back to work. I keeps coming back up, and Anthony wants to dick ride, and then Donovan came into this, and they're back and forth, and it's just like, it's at what point are we just going to go, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. That if you want proof, if you want receipts, I've got 3 years of receipts. I'm in 2 books since then. I've been doing. Just look at the shit that I did in the last 2 weeks. Okay, not necessarily the last 3 years even. So when you're looking at the differences here, I think it's time to sort of just move on, because we're going to bigger and better things. And I think one of the things that John wanted to talk about is like we're sort of making inroads into other niches that are much larger than us. And I don't know where this goes, but it's expanding right now, and it's expanding beyond stupid shit like Anthony Johnson. It's expanding beyond, guys who want to, tear you down and give you grief about stuff. Right? This is not a money grab at this point. Just go look at the last 3 years, not to mention the last 20 years of the shit that I've done, not to mention like what Troy's done or Ryan's done. I mean, we've been doing this collectively for a very long time right now. So yes, I think it is time to just sort of like, what, let his work, his body of work speak for him, which is nothing. And let my body of work speak for me. Let John's, Troy's, anyone else who's associated, look at their body of work. Look what they're doing. Are they out? Are they making inroads? Are they going to different countries? Are they going on different shows? Are they out of that niche and moving into a different niche? Because I'll tell you right now, most of these guys who are like stuck in neutral are still doing the same shit that they've been doing for the last 6 years. Right? It's the same grind. It's the same shit talking. It's the same blood sports. It's the same. Oh, look what he's doing now. Can you believe this? That's why I keep saying
have anything to offer. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to keep seeing this over and over and over again. And it's just time to say, you know what? I'm going to go work with Gammon. I'm going to go work with Kiyosaki. I'm going to go work with the guys in, I don't know, Turkey. I've got an invite to go to Turkey, by the way. We need Manosphere Fitness Convention. We do. We need to add that to Money, Muscles, and Game. That should be that would be a great convention, I think, and just like have it broader so more people can say, I got the game side down. I want to see what Derek Thomas has to say about like fitness. I want to see what Fitch has to say about like, self-defense. If we can offer lots of different things in workshops and not just like sitting there watching a guy talk for an hour or so, or in my case, 2 hours. We can't just sit there and expect people to sit and take notes like Ryan was saying. We have to have other things to do, like hands-on workshops and really, actionable things, actionable advice, actionable information. We got to have that, and that requires us to have a broad spectrum and cross niches. So
I want to plug John for a second here, because man, I'll tell you, self-defense and combat skills is one of the most ignored things. I feel like that people will put that way on the back burner over everything else, and that has such a high ROI, dude. Like, I mean, when I do my military training, I'll do martial arts training there too. I don't, obviously I'm into fitness and, combat training, but I don't promote that as my, that's not what I offer to people, whatever as what I'm offering to the space. But like, you guys need to get John's course and do stuff because the ROI is huge. The amount of confidence you get, people want their internal game together. Like if you can handle yourself on a primal instinctual level, it really means something. It's not about kicking everybody's ass, but it's about knowing, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be a victim anywhere. That's a big deal, knowing if you're out with a girl that, okay, I'm survivable. I can solve this problem versus just trying to trick yourself or fool yourself into thinking you can. It's a big deal.
We got to break. Paul, we got to break. We're at the 2-hour mark and Troy's got to go. So I'm just going to wrap us up right now. Let's go around the horn first here. John, what do you got? Fitch, what do you got going on, man?
I have Learn to Fight videos. They come out on Mondays, and my John Fitch Knows Nothing Sunday night, 7 p.m. Stop by. I'll probably do a free consultation show because there's no real fights this weekend for me to talk about. And I'm working on the Fitch Smash Strength program right now. That should be out hopefully soon. My laptop took a poop on me though, so that's holding up. And then I've got some other seminar stuff I got to edit and make available too. I'm always open for seminars. I got lots of private lessons and students coming through. So it's going to be a busy summer.
Excellent. Troy, what's up, man? Oh, unmute yourself. Oh, there you go. Unmute. Okay.
The Road Dating Academy is open for new students right now. Okay, so it's my flagship dating course. I've filmed a whole bunch of new video segments for this. So we're going through enhanced social skills, so the social skills you need in order to meet women this summer. Value, because value is the most important part of this whole equation. How to get it and how to demonstrate it. We're going to be talking about flirtation and playfulness. Dating itself, what do you actually do when you go on a date with a woman that you've just met? And then we're going to be talking about relationships from one-night stands all the way through to long-term relationships, okay? I've got a bunch of 10 webinars we're going to be doing next week on Zoom, private Zoom webinars. We're going to be talking about all of the above, plus travel and dating secrets, night game mastery, style, fashion and grooming, flirtation, and indestructible inner game as well. So all of that is available now. The cost today is only $297, but it goes up tomorrow to $597. So now is the time to take action. I'll put the link in the chat, but if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see the links there. So get involved. It closes out on Monday for new enrollments.
Cool. Ryan.
Boys and girls, you're in for a laugh riot. Okay, few things. A lot of you guys don't even know I have a channel. It's been 3 fucking years. And it's goddamn good. And it's got everything. I got Chick Talks where you want to see the guys yelling at women. There you go. But you might pick some up that's useful and actual red pilled as opposed to just nonsense. I got the Mids Watches, which is literal field reports. It's a nice, quiet ASMR Sunday afternoon thing to watch. I put the link in the chat. Check it out. That's the first thing. Second thing, speaking of networking and branching out, Adam Kriegler. You guys may know him from the guy who used to be on the Tim Pool show.
Yep, I know Adam.
Had me on with his. We talked about a lot of things. We found out that a lot of these critical thinking types that are out there now are basically taking the men swapping notes roadmap that the Red Pill created, and they're using in their own spheres, and we're reaching areas of converging evidence, which I further confirmed with Dr. David Lay this morning, which is why I was late to this thing. Talking about psychology, semen retention, no FAP, but no religious or like psychobabble. It was literal hard science and experience. So it was all of it super interesting. And then, for those of you who are like, I don't want to learn. I just got off of work. I want to just chill out and watch some YouTube and veg. Digital Ryan. So we've got a few things. We call it the T-Rex Army because, semen retention. If you got short arms, you can't possibly lose in No Nut November. So we're the T-Rex Army. And we set up a bunch of collaborations with some characters. If you're kind of like into all the who's who in here, you might recognize some of the names. It's fun. It's engaging. It's a bunch of guys just goofing around, playing some games, building their things here. We got Dave. We got me. We got Marty in sales, which if you haven't seen him, he's probably the funniest guy ever. He's dressed in drag, fighting the zombie apocalypse. It's fucking fun. It's entertaining. You might as well come in and check it out. And again, this group is growing fast. We're building a huge network of guys on that one. They're all going to bring each other up. So we're going to have, so now you don't have to see, we're woke everywhere. They relax. We got it. Just come on in, check it out. And for the guys in the chat who are asking about me making ads, just go to my channel and look up the Red Morning ad. And there's about 9 of them on there right now, and they're all funny. And I caught your note about Anthony whatever lifestyle. I'm going to make one for him too. But I would say the Tate one and the Anthony Johnson ones are the most worth it. So links are all in the chat. Check all that shit out. And that's it.
Awesome. All right. And we have, last but not least, I got Paul. Paul looking jacked and juicy. Well, more juicy than jacked, but go ahead. Unmute yourself there. What do you got going on? What are you going to do?
Well, go to apexmindset.net, hit that subscribe. I'm putting a lot more content out right now, which is cool. All the free stuff gets you that information. The price tiers. So I ran my first test group on my frame and seduction. I took 60 guys for a year, and I've run them through their first, looks like 5 months. Doing really well. Everyone has good things to say. I've built up more course material. It's probably about 30 hours now worth of actual course material plus one-on-one work with me and Zoom calls with the group. So those prices for all the tiers are going up in about 7 days from now because there's more stuff now there. So if you're wanting to get in for the year and take advantage of the old pricing tiers, this week's now the week to do it. You can find that on apexmindset.net and navigate that and schedule a free consult to see if it's for you. That's it.
All right. So what am I doing tomorrow? Yes, just to answer the question, I will, in fact, be doing my show on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern time. I should also, forgot to throw that up there. Also, shout out Red Pill Thor. Yeah, I actually met Red Pill Thor. I've known him for a while. He's been on John from Modern Life Dating Show for a while, and he's also part of Masculine Geek, which I did. I was the Dungeon Master on Wednesday. And so, actually, shout out to Masculine Geek. Go check those guys out as well. It's a YouTube channel, Masculine Geek. And then let's see what else I got going. I have some video work that I have coming up that I'm going to be doing for that supports the book. I will be doing classes for the book, as Troy already knows. I'll be doing that. Ryan, do you want to come in tomorrow? Are you
Why
busy?
not? It's a fabulous Sunday afternoon. You see how shitty it is in the links.
Here's tomorrow's topics. I was going to do sociosexual hierarchies because apparently we need to clarify that again because everybody wants to suddenly be a Sigma all of a sudden. So we're going to go.
Damn fucking Vox, man.
If you're saying you're a Sigma, you are not a Sigma. So we'll get into that. I know Vox Day. It's funny is the reason I wanted to tap you for that is because you're old enough to remember when Vox put that out, and and now everybody's still clinging to all that, and they have no earthly idea where it came from.
Done my homework. It's time to homeschool you sons of bitches.
And I also wanted to talk about dark triads, dark triad personality traits, which I think did you get into that with David Lay?
No, we were mostly dealing with the sexual shaming and stuff like that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, and then of course we're making inroads, into like everybody wants to dip their toe in the manosphere right now. So everyone from Matt Walsh to Tim Pool to you, people who their brand isn't about the manosphere, but they really want to be a part of it now.
I always need another guy to take a shit on.
Yes, I know. We can't talk to that Rollo guy. He's truthful anger. We don't want.
I'll say the things that you want to say, but can't, Rollo. Don't you worry about that.
Here's the guy Rollo quotes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't need collabs. Send me at it. I'll pitbull this.
Oh, this is great. Tim Pool is a Russian bot. Well, find out tomorrow on the next.
Did Coach Redpill tell him that or what?
Yes, but we had a great time. The CME I think was an overall success. There's things I would have done a little bit different, but I think that overall it was a great time. A lot of people had a good time there too. Don't believe the rumors. Nobody you know what? Before you start believing rumors, come here, ask us. We were there. Ask people who are actually there. But anyways, I will be on tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, and Ryan will be with me as well. And let's see. Red Pill Lions. As you can see, the little Chiron down there. The mint was on May 1st. We have been doing exceptionally well with the mint. We're not sold out just yet, but we're getting very close. So do have a look at that. I know that guys have bought. I think our initial price was $250, and people have flipped it for $3,000. Or certain ones for $3,000 right now. So it is. This is not a rug pull, by the way. And I also wanted to make sure that everybody knew that, for one of the utilities that we had as part of the mint was that we were going to fly guys out to the CME, give them an all expense paid trip out there, and that is exactly what we did. So if you go and you look at the Instagram for Red Pill Lions, or hell, just go to redpilllions.com. You can find all the links there if you want to purchase the NFT, or if you want to just be involved in the Discord channel, which is Red Pill Lions Discord. You can find all the links there. Everything is now collected on redpilllions.com. It's the easiest way to get involved. And Red Pill Lions Discord is now my home Discord, so you will find me there as well. And I think one of the utilities we're going to do is sign books that I'm now signing, and they'll be passed out to people who are in that part of the utility anyway. So we got other things coming up as well. So this isn't a rug pull. We make good on our promises. I wouldn't have put my name on this if there were anything else. So I have that going on. And then my next scheduled appearance is going to be at the Rebel Capitalist, which will be in Miami once again. It'll be, the actual dates are the 25th through the 27th. It's that final weekend of June. I'll probably be out there a little bit earlier doing some other stuff. I am doing a workshop out there, and this is part of the players workshop that I mentioned in the fifth book, which is now available on Amazon, still in the top 10 in dating, by the way, bestsellers, and as well as gender studies. Thank you, Aaron Clary, for that wonderful idea. So, but thanks for everybody for joining us today. Look for us tomorrow. I'll be on at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have some other announcements on that show as well. So thanks for joining me, guys. Here's another great, and by the way, we're back doing the Rule Zero again. Yay. Finally, everybody's back in under the house, or in the house again. So we will be doing these a little bit more regularly now. It's kind of hard with everybody's schedule, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So
smoochies.
Anyway. Yep. All right, guys, we'll see you. And Ryan's hosting next week, whether he wants to or not. Bye.